Dow futures are up after a small gain yesterday. I'm Dick Hafner, WJR News, and now here's Kevin Dietz.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning on this Tuesday, July the 14th, 2020. Paul has a much-deserved day off today, but the gang is here. Dave Rieger is with us. Good morning, Dave. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Filling in for Ann. Hopefully she's getting some rest. It's nice to see you here, though, with us. Dayna Clark's in the house. Dayna, how are you?
How you doing, Kevin? I'm doing great.
Good.
Happy Tuesday.
You look so nice. You know, you just.
I'm trying, up my game a little bit.
For our friends here on Facebook, if you stop by WJR 760, welcome to the show. And if you want to watch this go down, we're on Facebook Live and YouTube, which is a lot of fun sometimes to watch you get the behind the scenes pictures as Dick Hafner fixes his monitor. Good morning, Dick. How are you?
Good morning.
You look 100%, buddy.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, guys, Metro Detroit has lost a billionaire. Matty Maroon, a Detroit native, died. Boy, this was a controversial figure for many, many years in Metro Detroit. He's like this tiny business his father had turned into $1 billion trucking company and real estate empire. And how cool would it be to own the Ambassador Bridge, to own a bridge to another country, the only one right here in Metro Detroit?
We can't get across right now, but
he bought that.
What are you saying, Dick?
I said we can't get across right now, but may he rest in peace. We've lost a lot of people, it seems, in past weeks, not COVID related.
Yeah, for sure. Covering Matty Maroon over the years, decades really. I remember going to City Hall and finding property records to see how many properties he owned, and he owned thousands of properties around the bridge. And we'd go to them and look them up, and many of them were run down. And we'd say, Mr. Maroon, you're a billionaire. Why don't you fix up these properties? And he'd say, well, I don't own that property or this property. We go back and double check, and we'd chase them around. And in that the Central Station, is such a beautiful train station. I mean, it's one of the iconic pieces of Metro Detroit architecture. And for years, he had that fenced off, and he said, "I'm working on it. I'm fixing it up." And you'd drive by, and like every 6 months or so, one window would get replaced on that thing,
one at a time.
Right. And then eventually he sold that to Ford, and that's going to be really exciting piece of property down there. It's really, I remember. Dick, did you cover?
He was a tough businessman.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Very successful. His son's going to take over. We'll hear a lot more from the Maroon family. And coming up at 6:35, we're going to talk with Adolph Mongo, who worked for the Maroons for about 10 years. So we'll talk more about that. But we'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after this. Let's check in with weather and traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
Traffic First also sponsored by the law firm of Victoria Divorce and Family Law for women only. Family members and friends pass this information on to your loved ones. Security, protection, a brighter tomorrow. The conversation starts with the law firm of Victoria. Call 248-723-1600, victorialawfirm.com. We have a closure, unfortunately, due to a fatal motorcycle accident along 75 southbound at 7 Mile. Traffic is forced to exit at 7 Mile, then re-enter 75 southbound. Crews are on the scene investigating that accident. Woodward can be taken instead. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Restore Wellness Center. Are you experiencing nagging body pain? Tired of taking medication for relief, neck and back, arthritis, tendinitis, muscle soreness, and more, the Restore Wellness Center can help relieve or eliminate the pain completely and get you back to work. Reserve your appointment today. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com.
Couple of lines of showers and thunderstorms coming through. One as we head through this morning, and maybe a few more as we go through this afternoon and this evening. It doesn't rain every hour of the day, but those storms, when they come through, could have some gusty winds and hail, heavy rainfall, even a slight risk of a tornado. Today's high 86. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are still possible tonight, low 68. Gusty northwest wind. Tomorrow's a front does go through. Showers early, then partly cloudy in the afternoon, 84. Sunday cloud sun, 83. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
It's 5:44. Let's check in with Rush Limbaugh.
The rising crime wave in New York City. Talk about it all the time. Shootings up 200% over last year. All sorts of violence and mayhem being unleashed. Now, the mayor, the idiot Bill de Blasio, says people's pent-up frustration of being cooped up inside because of the virus. He says that's the reason for skyrocketing crime. He says the $1 billion cut in the police budget, that's got nothing to do with it. Dismantling the anti-crime task force, the plainclothes unit, that's got nothing to do with it either. And of course, neither does his release of over 2,000 hardened criminals from Rikers Island. And now another genius, New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has put her 2 cents in. She agrees the massive police budget cuts are not related to the crime wave because she wants the police defunded. She says rising crimes caused by people who are scared to pay their rent. They go out, they shoplift a loaf of bread to feed their hungry kids. Well, how does that account for the 200% increase in shootings? Meanwhile, on the other coast, California Democrats are about to release 8,000 criminals from jails and prisons to stop the virus from spreading, supposedly. Liberal Democrats, they defund the police the same time they release criminals from jail. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
Rush Limbaugh, noon to 3 today, right here on WJR.
All right. Well, we got some friends on Facebook. Welcome to Facebook Live, WJR, Paul W. Smith Show. Figuring things out.
Still, no.
Who's typing so much? Is that you, Dayna, typing?
No, it sounds like Dick.
Oh, Dick's typing away? Okay.
He's typing his news.
Hitting those keyboards hard.
Yeah, he's typing his news.
All right.
So usually when I go to Canada, I usually always take the tunnel. I don't know if I've maybe taken the bridge maybe twice in my entire life to go over to Canada.
Doesn't that water seeping down the sides of the tunnel scare you a little bit? Because every time I go through the tunnel, there's just a little water on the side of the walls.
Yeah, you know what's so scary is that first turn as you go down into the tunnel, and then you got to make that quick turn to go around the corner, and then you come up. But I usually would always take the tunnel. I don't go to Canada that much anymore. But
I'd say I'm 50-50. Probably 50-50. It'll be interesting. They add that new bridge. If people will take the old one because there'll be less traffic, or they'll take the new one because it's new. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. They could use it though. Those trucks are always backed up on that bridge.
Trucks are taking over.
Not to mention the fact that
trucks everywhere.
Going through customs is always fun too. You know, you never know what you might run into going through the customs. So
I definitely slowed down my trips to Canada after 9/11, just because you never know what might happen. I don't mean out of fear, just the amount of time it takes to get through.
It's just interesting that it used to be when you went into Canada, they would say, okay, why are you coming in? Now they ask you, what are you bringing in? As far as like, if you say I'm going to Casino Windsor, how much money are you bringing in? They never used to ask that before. Now they want to know how much money you're bringing in into the casino, in addition to when you come back. And they always say, what did you bring back? Did you stop at the duty free shop? Whatever. I never used to ask that though.
I dropped off a package to mail yesterday, and they had like 50 questions of what is there any liquid in there? I'm like, well, are we at the airport? What happened? Just trying to mail a letter, man.
Do they limit you to the amount of people that are allowed into the post office? The post office that I go to, you're only allowed 5 in there into the main part of the post office at once.
Yeah, I took my dog in yesterday. There were one person in the lobby only. At the post office, there was a sign. I think 3 people maybe. It's a pretty tiny post office though.
Because it's going to be getting busy, obviously, because tomorrow is the new, I guess, April 15th,
right,
for taxes.
Yeah.
Taxes are due. Well, I guess you could still get an extension, right? Or can you not still get an extension?
I think you can get an extension. The question I have is, if you get an extension on the already extension because due to COVID, are you more likely to get an audit?
No, there's nobody to audit anybody. They have so much going on with the PPP money flying around and everything else. This would be a good year to slide something past the IRS.
So now it's just let's just get in. I think the extension is until, did I hear yesterday, October, November? No, I don't know what I heard. I did hear there was an extension, but I don't know exactly when it's till.
Yeah, I think I think everything just got moved back. The exact number of days it got moved back. So however it worked before, you just slid everything.
Yeah.
But it'll. I'm gonna just get mine in. I'm gonna get in and be done with it.
Yeah, me too.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting. Here's Kevin Dietz.
Good morning. The round table is here. We got Dave Rieger, Dayna Clark, and Dick Hafner. So, guys, I know a lot of people have been talking about this, but I just wanted to get your take on this. The Washington Redskins are no more. The NFL franchise is dropping the name and dropping the Indian head logo. And I like hearing different takes on this, and maybe if you want to try and win a prize and guess what their new name might be moving forward. I think a lot of people could come up with a lot of names about people in Washington these days. But Dave, let's start with you. What do you think of the Redskins? I think
it's absolutely horrible. Why are they changing the name? It's been like this forever. I don't know. They're going to keep the same colors too. I just think it's silly. I don't get it. I don't understand. I know there's a lot of names that are getting trademarked across the country right now in anticipation of the new name. I know they had talked about the Warriors for a little while, but that I guess has been put aside. But I don't understand. It seems kind of silly to me. I don't know.
Dayna, what do you think?
I like the Washington Warriors. I like that. I mean, I think if Indians are offended, American Indians or Indians are offended by that name, it doesn't bother me that they want to change it. If they're going to keep the same colors and everything else, I think the Warriors would be a good way to come out and start with that new name of that team. So I vote for the Warriors.
Where do you fall on this, Dick?
It was inevitable that they were going to change their name. It caused a ruckus, and the NFL teams, like all sports teams, are really part of show business. They're recreation. It's sports. It's the toy department of life. They're part of the entertainment field, and the success of the Redskins or any other team depends on popularity by the public. And if there's a PR problem, which the name Redskins obviously is, that gets the team in trouble. They had to change their name because of popular opinion. They had no choice in the matter.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with changing the names. I don't know. I think people get so wound up about this thing, and I try and make it more personal for myself. I think well, what if my high school had to change its name or its logo or whatever? But that happens all the time too. I think if you leave the history of it and people can go back and look at how your team evolved and this or the other thing. Teams move from one city to the other and they change their names. We adjust, we figure out what the new name of the team is going to be, and we figure out which quarterback we're mad at and all of that. I just, I'm not one of the, go ahead, Dick.
but not every name of a team, a mascot, a logo, a name is a slur. Isn't the word Redskin a slur against Indians?
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're so upset. And there's we'll see where that goes. There's a lot of teams that have questionable names or names that people would like to see changed. And I guess you see how far it goes, I just don't. I mean, personally, I just, like you said, like sports entertainment, I'm okay with it. It's, the Washington Redskins are not. It's not like the monument issue as much. Whether to take them down and put them in storage or to destroy them or whatever. But Dave, you're a little more passionate about.
Yeah,
this
I mean,
stuff.
it's ridiculous. So what gets okay? So the Indians, are the Cleveland Indians going to go away? Are the Atlanta Braves going to go away? Are the Chicago Blackhawks going to go away?
Maybe.
I mean,
maybe.
Is that going to be next? Are the Cleveland Browns going to go away? I mean, are we just going to start changing?
Why would the
all
Browns
this?
go away?
I don't know. I'm just.
I wish the Lions would go away.
I mean, well,
sorry about that.
I mean,
psych.
but seriously, it's just, I mean, I know that teams, they change their logos and all, but I just don't. And Daniel Snyder, back years ago, they had this issue and he was like, we're never changing the name. So now it's gotten to the point where they are going to change the name, but he didn't change it back then. Mm-hmm. So it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me that, you've got all this stuff that's history that's built around the Redskins. They've had like 3 championships, and it's just like the team's going to be gone. It's just going to be weird.
I think
public opinion which is driving that. History also surrounded the Confederate statues.
I mean, is it public opinion or is it a PR and media driven, Dick? I don't know. I'm not sure. Is the public that upset with the Washington Redskins?
You have to spend some time getting educated. You got to find out why people are upset and if it's legitimate. And but the Redskins is probably pretty legitimate. It's like Dick said, it's a slur. It's not exactly the Cleveland Indians, which is pretty straightforward Indians, but if people are offended, I think they should be able to have a voice and it can be discussed and talked about. And I just don't think that it's that big of a deal if your football team ends up with a different name to me. But I understand why people are passionate about it, and they are passionate about it. That's for sure. All right, we'll be back with more of the
football team turns this into a public contest to name the team. That could become a real PR victory for them. Mm-hmm. It'd be a lot of fun.
That's how the Palace got named, I believe.
That's right.
All right, we'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after this. Let's check in weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
You'll want to avoid 75 southbound this morning at 7 Mile. Traffic is forced to exit at 7 Mile, then re-enter 75 southbound. Closed there due to a fatal motorcycle accident. Unfortunately, crews are on the scene performing investigation work. You can take Woodward instead. Construction, M59 westbound between Crooks and Adams reduced to just 1 lane. Stop and go traffic from Rochester Road. Only that left lane is open. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Liberty Title, protecting property since 1974. A few quick tips from Liberty Title: cybercrime and identity theft in real estate is a $2 billion industry. Make sure your title company is insured. There is no need for a split closing. Use only one title company and never close your transaction in a public place. You have a choice. Choose libertytitle.com. Hopefully you enjoyed yesterday. Today is going to be another great day. Comfortable start. Currently clear sky, 64 degrees, sunshine, some clouds mixed in, but still not muggy. The muggy meter goes up as we progress toward the end of the week. A high of 84 today, tonight partly cloudy, your low 68. And then Wednesday starts to heat up around here. Some clouds, a stray thunderstorm possible, especially in the morning, a high of 89 degrees. Tonight's low is once again 68. Tomorrow night's low 73 for Thursday. Scattered thunderstorms, then partly cloudy, more muggy, a high of 86. Once again, clear skies, 64 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Hi, this is Guy Gordon. Living in Michigan can mean unpredictable and destructive weather that brings damage to our properties. When your home, personal belongings.
Hello, guys.
Also, as someone who is a fan of an NFL team and who has a ton of NFL memorabilia and paraphernalia, I would be so upset and angry at the name change.
Well, it might be collector's items.
You got to get all
now,
new
though.
stuff now.
Yeah, but it might be a collector's item. You know what I mean? No.
I'm so annoyed by it.
Dave, I think they're going to get you anyway. Don't you have a teal Pistons jersey somewhere in your closet when they change the color to sell more?
You're right. Got to check.
The teal Pistons was not a good time, so I do not have any. I don't have a Grant Hill teal jersey. No,
no,
that
was a bad time for the Pistons. No.
Sometimes I think the Lions draft picks are basically decided on how many hats and jerseys they can sell. They keep picking. They keep picking all these wide receivers that everybody knows their name from college because they're high profile, but they're not necessarily best for the team. But they sell tickets and sell merchandise. And I've always wondered if that's been the Lions' secret draft strategy.
The Lions are one team that have cool throwbacks though. Like they're all silver helmet that they wore a couple years back, and like on Thanksgiving, that's a cool look. And that old logo with the lion and the two lions behind it. So the Lions actually have some cool old school stuff. I mean, you can do away with bubbles, and then they changed it and made it like a more angry lion. If
angry lion,
but the old school stuff. But as far as the Redskins, I mean, just think about, how far back you're going with it. Do they have to get, do the Cowboys have to change their name too?
I'd say most of the Facebook folks are with you on this one, Dave. They seem pretty much agreed that this is mostly unnecessary or PR or that people aren't truly offended.
No.
But
I don't think that many people are offended by the Washington Redskins. Maybe I'm being naive and maybe I'm making myself look uneducated and stupid, but I don't see it. I don't see the need. So
I don't know how much need there is, and I'd really want to go listen to people who've truly made an honest case that they're offended and see what they have to say and why they have to say it. My point was more, I don't care that much if you change a sports team's name. It's a sports team, but people are wildly passionate about their sports teams. People care more about their sports than they care about just about anything in some cases. So I totally get it. I think it's why it's such an interesting conversation.
Sure. Definitely. I do wonder what the new name will be, and I wonder if they will give it to the public to try to pick it. But I bet it'll be knowing what I know about Daniel Snyder, He'll have a say in what the new name's going to be.
What are some of the other choices? I heard Warriors, but I didn't hear anything else.
Somebody had said that Red Tails was another one that so they just announced yesterday that the Redskin name is done, and then moving forward, they're going to have to get it done pretty quick. I mean, teams are going to report into training camp pretty soon. They're going to have to get the stadium, all the copyright stuff. I think they're having some copyright issues too. So they're going to have to get like all the, think of all the stuff that has to change.
Right.
So
it's a lot
before this, Kevin, think of all the stuff that has to change from letterhead of the team to jerseys, to clothing, to billboards, to
the NFL is 100 years old last year. 100 years from now it'll be a blip, and it'll be like people will be as passionate about whatever the new name of the team is as they were about the Redskins.
You're probably right.
When the Brooklyn Dodgers moved out. I mean, there's always history is history. It's there.
But they moved out of the city though.
Yeah, no, I know.
I don't know if we've had a team that has changed names that stayed. When the Cleveland Browns went to Baltimore, they became the Ravens, and then the new Cleveland Browns came in. When they did just decide, okay, we're just going to change the name and not move to a different city. So
Right.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they've wanted to change it for a while, and this gave them the opportunity to do it.
Right. Because there was rumblings before this years ago, right, Dave, that they were thinking about changing it. So right now they're like, we need to seize this opportunity to go ahead and do it. So
it'll be very interesting. It's like I said, teams change their logos all the time.
Yeah.
And they change, but name changes is a different animal, at least in my opinion. And you're right,
We're in
Patrick.
different times now, Kingpin.
And you're right. You're right. And Patrick did say the Rams did keep their name after the move. He's right. They did go from St. Louis to, but they were in LA before as the Rams too. They went from LA to St. Louis and back. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess have colleges been changing the name?
Yeah, colleges do it all the time. Eastern Michigan used to be what?
Right, because St. John's, my alma mater, they changed their name, right? They used to be the Redmen. Didn't they change their name?
Yeah, I think Eastern Michigan used to be the Hurons, and they changed it to the Eagles. So colleges do it a lot, but
not our pros,
but not pro teams.
That's serious,
right?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be weird if the Lions or Tigers suddenly came in and
exactly. Can you imagine?
People were upset about the treatment of animals or something, and they said, "All right, we're going to switch everything to primary colors or something." I don't know.
Right.
Numbers.
Right. PETA comes in and they're like, "You have to change the name of the Lions and the Tigers."
Right.
Okay. Or somebody doesn't like, we're going to change the name of the Red Wings. I mean, or the Pistons. It seems just silly.
Well, don't you worry, Dave. When it's done years from now, you'll be just fine.
I'm sure.
It's
normal. I'm not even a Redskins fan, and it's making me upset.
It's probably time you got new jerseys anyway. Those ones are really.
That's okay. I'm not a Redskins fan. It doesn't affect me. It's just the point of it,
You'll be fine.
But my college, the college I graduated from, changed their name too. Wayne State used to be the Tartars when I went there, and now they're the Warriors. So.
A tartar? What's a tartar?
A tartar is apparently a name for a Spartan or something like that. But they changed it.
They should have changed that.
We used to get tartar sauce, tartar
tater tots.
We used to get all the time.
Exactly. That was just lazy naming them that.
Someone wasn't trying very hard. That's funny.
Well, people have opinions, that's for sure.
I went to Western Michigan. I think we've always been the Broncos, but I'm not sure of that. But
okay, what about Central? What about Central Michigan? They're going to change their name from the Chippewas?
From the Great Lakes.
See, you're bringing something up now.
On WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Boy, working right through the break there, we continued our conversation on Facebook Live about the Washington Redskins changing their name. We talked about colleges, how they change them all the time. And now something very that you can be very passionate about, Dave, instead of sports. What about the idea of the United States government banning TikTok? Now, I know I know you're probably a big TikToker.
I'm not a huge TikToker or a TikTok fan, but I did hear that they're trying to ban it. I think a lot of people are going to be really upset because they love to make their little social media posts. So as I was watching you talk about football and how passionate you are about the sport, I was thinking of my kids and their TikTok, and they love TikTok. They're on it all the time. They're constantly checking it or making the TikTok video, and they are buzzing about the possibility that TikTok may be gone or banned. Much with the passion that you talk about football, it's interesting what's important to different people and what makes them tick, but the TikTok is a little more serious. U.S. Secretary Mike Pompeo is saying that they may have to ban it because the Chinese are using it to gather your information and to create fraud.
And coming up a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking to the head of the Detroit FBI. And one of the biggest problems they have is with the Chinese stealing American information, identities, secrets. And I never really thought TikTok was the way they were going to slide in, but it may just be. What are your thoughts on that, Dayna?
I think it's there's going to be an uproar, just like Kingpin is in uproar about the name of the Redskins. I think there's going to, if they take away TikTok, I just don't know what'll happen. Like you said, these kids, we're going to have protests in the streets over TikTok. But I do believe that I think they get our information however they can. So I don't think necessarily taking away TikTok is going to stop people who really want to spy on us, get information. They know what we do anyway. I mean, I don't think taking that away is going to stop anything. If somebody wants to do something, they'll find another way. So,
Dick, how's your TikTok account? Are you burning up the videos on TikTok, Dick?
Not really, but I've seen TikTok. It's a phenomenon, of course. It's been going on for a few years. It's huge. You know, the guy who developed Disney Plus now runs TikTok for the Chinese owner. So this is major league stuff on TikTok. And I think users of TikTok, even kids, will find a way to get TikTok. They'll be able to go around the authorities, even if the Trump administration is able to try to ban TikTok, as they say. TikTok is a huge storehouse of personal information for the Chinese authorities. And mark my word, they gather it and they use that information for their own purposes. There's no doubt about it. That's what China does. And they do it better than anyone else in the world, better than the U.S. authorities do.
Yeah, I covered federal court for a long time, and I'd go down and I would read these in federal indictments against companies that were stealing American secrets, or against American employees who would help the Chinese steal secrets and trademark trade rights on just about everything. And at most big corporate meetings, when you go into a meeting, everyone has to drop their cell phone off and leave their cell phone outside of the meeting, not so much because they're afraid they're going to record them, but they're afraid people are listening in from the outside using your cell phone to gather information. And as you read some of these federal indictments, you find out how aggressive stealing valuable information from companies is. And you talk about knockoffs and whether people should be buying knockoff purses or all of these things, tennis shoes, whatever, you name it, it's being knocked off. But to do that, they have to be able to get the secret ingredients. And so this does not surprise me at all. What surprised me is how big TikTok is. I mean, it is massive. The amount of information that they have, not just here in America, but all across the world. And like you said, Dick, Kevin Mayer, an American, is the CEO of that company. But I don't know that doesn't give me any extra sense of security that everything's going to be fine.
No, of course not.
with my information.
Nope.
No,
they know what
the Chinese
we're doing.
are using TikTok to steal information, which of course they are. He's complicit in doing this.
Yeah, the amount of money that is fraudulently taken through identity theft from information that we readily give up, it happens with American companies all the time too. There's hacks, and you report on them all the time, Dick. Somebody got access to this information, or this company lets 10,000 people's personal information loose into society. But in China, there's companies that are actively pursuing it. I don't know where they're at on TikTok, but for Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State, to come out, you tend to think that there's some inside information that they know a little more about this.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, you're listening to the Paul W. Smith Show. We'll be right back with more after we check in on weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
Still dealing with that fatal accident. Police are on the scene investigating 75 southbound at 7 Mile. It is closed there. You're being forced to exit right at 7 Mile. Then you can re-enter 75 southbound. Crews on the scene performing an investigation. Could be shut down for quite some time. You can take Woodward instead. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce the pain and scar tissue, improve blood flow, nerve function, and muscle stimulation. The state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatments will reduce your pain. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com.
We're in real good shape with comfortable temperatures for the morning hours, a few clouds with sunshine, and we'll go clouds and sun this afternoon, and not bad at 84, right where we should be. A few clouds tonight, 67. Tomorrow, cloud, sun, maybe a shower, thunderstorm late, and a high of 88. From a Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Stagik on News Talk 760 WJR.
Hi, folks. Craig Hubble, General Manager at Crestview Cadillac in Rochester. These may be unprecedented times, but I wanted to personally assure you that your safety and the safety of everyone in our dealership is our top priority. That's why we go above and beyond every day to make sure we are Crestview Cadillac clean. All the time, everywhere. We use CDC-approved cleaners and best practices. We have your back here at Crestview Cadillac in Rochester. And this month, we have a big selection of Cadillacs with the equipment you want. Find yours now at CrestviewCadillac.com, and we'll deliver it to you sanitized. We do a ton of GM employee pricing, and we pull ahead Cadillac leases all day long. And my Crestview Cadillac price will be unmatched. And I want to service your Cadillac no matter where you got it. Our service department is top notch. You'll always get a Cadillac loaner here. And I have 30-minute oil changes too. Call us now. See us on Rochester Road or at CrestviewCadillac.com.
Thinking about life insurance? Did you know in just a few minutes you can find the best price from up to 10 price competitive companies for free? You can with SelectQuote. For example, George is 39. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $22 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-890-6688. That's 800-890-6688. 800-890-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
I'm Justin Ho for the Marketplace Minute. The economy is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up.
Pfizer stock is surging on positive air travel in the age of COVID. Some economists caution job gains will not be sustained.
Give us just a minute of your time, and we'll bring you the latest on what's happening in the economy 3 times a day. We'll tell you what you need to know and why it matters, all in 60 seconds. Just ask your smart speaker to play the Marketplace Minute, or find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Treetops Resort. Palmer and Nicholas have graced their fairways. Mickelson has saved some pars here, and Trevino hit the shot heard round the world. It's time for you to add your name to the list of greats who have enjoyed spectacular golf at Treetops. Book your package today and make the easy drive to Treetops Resort. Championship packages start as low as $334 per person. Visit treetops.com. That's treetops.com.
Have you been told you need spine surgery or just sick of living in pain? The Disc Institute has a proven, painless alternative. If your neck, back, or sciatic pain is due to a herniated, degenerative, or bulging disc, then you actually have 2 problems. 1, your pain, and 2, your bad disc. Drugs, therapies, epidurals, and new pain lasers are designed to only treat your pain, but they're not designed to treat your disc problem. And this is crucial because your bad disc is what's causing your pain in the first place. Without addressing your disc problem, your problem will get worse, which can ultimately lead to surgery. At the Disc Institute, we have a proven solution to solve both of your problems, your pain and the bad disc that's causing it, with our high-tech, non-invasive treatments. This is what can stop your pain without surgery. Call me at the Disc Institute at 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472. We'll even review your MRI for no charge. Call 586-416-DISC. Reclaim your life.
If we're all going to be stuck in our house anyway, let's get some of those DIY projects done around the house.
The Inside Outside guys and their many team partners are here for you during these uncertain times when we are all stuck in our homes.
If you need emergency help or simply some home improvement advice, talk directly to the guys at 888-654-GUYS or 24/7 at theinsideoutsideguys.com.
The Inside Outside guys have built a team to be here for you 24/7.
The Inside Outside Guys is brought to you in part by North Bloomfield Properties.
North Bloomfield Properties, experts you can trust.
With over 25 years experience, North Bloomfield Properties is the area's most recommended residential property management team. Our full-service management approach handles all the advertising, cleaning, maintaining, and repairing of your rental homes. That's why the Better Business Bureau awards us an A+ for customer satisfaction. Contact us today so you can enjoy your weekends again. Visit northbloomfield.com.
North Bloomfield Properties, experts you can trust.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Good morning and welcome back to the Paul W. Smith Show. Dave Rieger's with us. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing great. I wanted to talk a little bit about this story I read about Michigan politics, and it involves Donald Trump. And anytime you talk about Donald Trump and politics, you may get some people upset one way or the other. But this was kind of interesting. It was in a report from the New York Times, so you can judge that however you want to. But they were talking about Donald Trump's attacks on female Democrats. And they're talking about, obviously, our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, is a female, Attorney General Dayna Nessel, and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson. And at one time or another, Donald Trump has tweeted about them negatively or said things negatively. And the New York Times says that they believe that this is going to be a fairly big problem for Donald Trump. Donald Trump won Michigan by just a little over 10,000 votes last time around. It was the closest state of all the states that Donald Trump won. And they are surmising that because Donald Trump has been attacking female Democrats in Michigan, Governor Whitmer, Attorney General Nessel, and Secretary of State Benson, that Trump will lose Michigan because of this issue, that women will be so upset that he's been so aggressive that they will come out and vote for Joe Biden. And I was just curious if what your take is on this as we move around the round table. Dave, do you think people will go out and vote and say he's mean to our elected officials? I'm going to vote the other way.
I don't know. I think it depends on what side you fall on, because you've got people that think that Governor Whitmer's done a fantastic job dealing with the COVID-19, and then you have other people who think that she's taking their rights away. So they might agree with the tweets of President Trump. So I think it's going to depend on where you fall politically, how it affects him. I think that he has taken a hit with the COVID-19 and then with the protests. So I guess we'll have to see what happens.
So you think it'll fall more on the line of whether people think the governor did a good job with COVID or the president did. The article seems to think that it's more, male versus female, that a male president attacking female leaders in Michigan will bring out the women vote. Dayna, does that resonate at all with you?
I think it's really weird that people who support President Trump will support him no matter what. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, when you say drinking the Kool-Aid, I mean, they are all in. So I don't think it's going to make a difference if women are supporting him here in Michigan. I think they will continue to support him. Has he lost some votes because of COVID and things that are happening? Yes. But I think that's across the board. I don't think it's necessarily women. So, I mean, the most important thing is that everybody, please vote. Please vote. Just everybody get registered. Everybody vote. With the excitement that you had during the protests, please have that same excitement, young people, because I think that will make the difference. I think the young people, if they vote, we'll see what happens. But I think people who support Trump, like he said, when he first ran, he could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and they would still vote for him. And I still believe that.
I think that some of his tweets do hurt him with some independents. I think there's a lot of times that you just sort of say, I wonder why, why he's doing that or why he's saying that tweet's not going to help him politically. But he seems to say whatever's on his mind. Not a lot of filtering, between his fingers and the Twitter button. Dick, this story out of the New York Times suggests that he's been particularly tough on female Democrat elected officials in Michigan. Do you think that will make women come out and vote against him? Maybe women that were going to stay home and not vote, or women that were independent. I know the Trump team is going to vote Trump. The Biden team is going to vote Biden. It's those independents that we wonder about. What do you think?
It probably doesn't help him. The edge that Trump had over Clinton in Michigan in 2016 was only a few thousand votes. It was very slim. He can't afford to lose any votes, male or female. And the problem that he has when he criticizes Democrats in Michigan, the top Democrats in Michigan are women, the big three, the governor, the secretary of state, and the attorney general, all women. And so if he's going to be critical of Democrats in Michigan, he's going to go against women because they are women. So he has a tough decision to make if he's going to go after them in Michigan. And how can he criticize Democrats in Michigan without criticizing women?
He's definitely behind in the polls in Michigan for sure, quite a bit. I don't know what the exact numbers of the most recent polls were, but they've been double digit. I don't remember, and maybe some of you do, how far behind Trump was of Hillary Clinton last time around, but he was not favored to win in Michigan, and his slim margin of victory surprised a lot of people here.
And it would be slimmer if he wins again. The edge I think that Biden has with women is actually larger in Michigan than Hillary Clinton had at the same time in the polls during the election campaign. I think more women support Biden than they supported Hillary Clinton in Michigan.
Yeah, so to your point, Dayna, everyone needs to get out and vote. 10 million people in Michigan. Trump won last time by 10,000 votes. And as everybody knows, Michigan is one of the key states in determining who the president was last time around and who the president will be this time around. So every little bit is very interesting. It's going to be interesting to watch. We'll be right back with more on the Paul W. Smith Show, but let's check in with traffic and weather and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
75 southbound at 7 Mile. It is closed there. Traffic is forced to exit at 7 Mile, then re-enter 75 southbound. This is involving a motorcycle, a fatal accident this morning. Crews are on the scene investigating that crash. You can take Woodward instead. 75 southbound slow also between 9 and 7 Mile. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Chris Furniture. This summer, enjoy spending time with your family around a new dining room set from Chris Furniture. U.S. made of solid wood, direct from the manufacturer. Chris Furniture in Livonia on the corner of Plymouth and Farmington Roads, or chrisfurnitureinc.com. Clear sky, 64 degrees. The sun is up. We are expecting Mixture of sun and clouds today. It's going to be another great day. A high of 84 tonight, partly cloudy, your low 68. Humidity starts to creep back in on Wednesday, partly cloudy, a stray shower, especially in the morning, a high of 89, and then still muggy and warm on Thursday, scattered thunderstorms in the morning, a high of 86. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
If you're trying to onboard new talent or upskill your current employees, MH Technologies designs and implements training solutions in robotics, CNC, PLC, and other manufacturing essentials. MH Technologies has training programs designed and ready for your business. Learn more at gomht.com.
As a Lawrence Technological University graduate, you're not only marketable, you're worth more. Yes, more. According to payscale.com, when it comes to graduate salaries, LTU is in America's top 100. Be invaluable. Be more. At LTU, possible is everything.
At Lawrence Tech's on-the-spot admissions Tuesday, December 3rd. Meet counselors, have transcripts evaluated, be admitted and advised, all in one day. Your application fee is waived, too. Reserve your spot at ltu.edu.
At Henry Ford Health System, we've always been all for you. But what does that mean as we begin offering more services and lead our community through a pandemic? It means we're all for revitalizing Michigan through the health of its people, all for preventing illness as aggressively as we treat it. And especially now, it means being all for cleaning up, wiping off, scrubbing down, and repeating. Because we're all for getting back to the innovative care we're known for, and all for heart attacks stopped, cancer eradicated, and new life delivered. In uncertain times, know this. Henry Ford Health System is all for your family, our community, and the health of this great state, because we're all for opening our doors, hearts, and minds for you. Henry Ford Health System, all for you. See everything we're doing to maintain a safe, clean environment at henryford.com/all-for-safety.
Protesters are back trying to block school buses on day 2 of summer school classes in Detroit. They blocked buses yesterday, which kept dozens of students from getting to in-person classes that the protesters say are too dangerous. The district says it's safe. Some of the protesters have been part of anti-police protests in Detroit. Well, the surge in coronavirus cases continues to rage. Uncontrolled across the U.S., nearly 1 of every 100 Americans has tested positive. According to numbers, correspondent Diane Gallagher reports there's a back-to-school meeting taking place in Atlanta.
Here in Atlanta, the superintendent's going to be having a meeting this afternoon to discuss what they can do about reopening Atlanta public schools. There is a proposal that would have the first 9 weeks be virtual, but that has to be approved. And of course, they're doing that online instead of in person to meet each other.
The mayor of Houston, Sylvester Turner, a Democrat, proposes a 2-week shutdown in Houston to help combat the virus. He needs the approval of the state's governor.
I appreciate the governor for requiring people to wear their masks. That will be helpful, but it's going to take time for that to really take meaningful effect. And appreciate the fact that he's given local authorities the ability to place restrictions on any crowds greater than 10. But those measures alone, I don't think will stop this.
Kevin, what if Trump surprises everybody and he wins again?
So I got a text from somebody who says Trump was down by 17 points at this point last time around.
What's he down now?
A little less than that.
That's what I'm saying. I think, what if he surprises everybody and he wins again?
Right.
Then what happens? With all the polling and with all the tweeting and everything.
That's what they're talking about, the silent majority. That's what all the
exactly.
people, if they're going to show up and vote like they did last time. I mean, all night on election night last time around, it was Hillary Clinton has this thing. It's automatic. There's like no way Donald Trump can win. And then around 1 a.m, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, we didn't see that coming. Now there's really no way Hillary Clinton can win. So
can we actually trust the polling that's coming out? I mean, can you actually trust
it's harder because
last time?
Yeah, people who vote for Trump won't say they're voting for Trump, so it's hard to trust the polling. It really is. Has our next guest called yet or no?
I don't. Yes, he's ready to go.
Oh, okay, good. We're just he's not a morning person.
So of course you give him 6:35.
Well, hey, that's what was left, man. We had a booked show today.
Yeah, for sure. He's ready to go, and
but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch. I mean, are people who voted for Trump last time less likely to vote for him this time? Some might not, but most probably will.
And are you going to have people who 4 years ago could not vote who now can vote, and they are either pro-Trump or upset with him, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, well, young people never really seem to get out and vote. They talk a lot about it, but the numbers are never very strong. I think a bigger issue is going to be this COVID. Are people going to go out and vote if they're afraid of getting sick? Are the elderly going to vote if they're afraid of getting sick? And what impact will the mail-in vote have?
Right.
The vote. Because people don't like to vote as it is. We can't get enough people out to vote. You throw COVID in the mix, and people might just stay home and say, what's the difference? But clearly, last time around, it made a difference. There were a lot of really, really close races, state by state.
Not to mention that it's supposed to be in the bad time, the second wave of COVID, when this is going to happen. So, because it's going to be in the fall. So,
right.
So we could be, who knows what the state of the United States is going to be as in relation to COVID at that time. So,
yeah, no, right. I mean,
we might not be able to go out and vote. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, who will vote and who won't, and what, and how does that impact it? How do seniors vote versus young people who are not afraid? Young people aren't afraid of the virus. Clearly,
no way.
Check out your local beaches.
Of course.
So if they want to vote, they're not going to stay home because they're scared. But seniors will, and whether or not they'll be organized enough to get the vote in by mail, we'll have to see. But it looks like they're going to be changing all kinds of restrictions on what you can and can't do, and how late you can register and when you can register. And I mean, you hear a lot about it. One party's trying to fix the election, the other party's trying to fix the election. Obviously, everybody's trying to get all the votes they can. So
if they can figure out how to vote on TikTok, we'll be fine.
They should vote on Facebook.
There you go.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Detroit lost one of its billionaires over the weekend. Matty Maroon, a Detroit native of Lebanese descent who took his father's small business and built it into a billion-dollar trucking and real estate empire that included the Ambassador Bridge, has died at the age of 93. Joining us now is someone who worked for Matty Maroon for a while, knows him very well, and has some inside stories to share with all of you today. Adolph Mongo is on the other end of my line. Adolph, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin.
So, as a reporter, my impression of Matty Maroon was this really rich guy who kind of stayed to himself, kept a close circle of friends and advisors, bought a ton of property and didn't take very good care of it. I remember, looking up property records at City Hall and trying to find out which ones Matty Maroon owned, and they were all around the bridge area and all over Southwest Detroit. And we'd go to them and we'd take pictures of them and say they were run down, and we'd try to go track Matty down and find out why he wasn't doing more to take care of his properties and whatnot. But he was really a smart businessman, a speculator in property, and in the story of being able to get the Ambassador Bridge and have it to himself, that crossing all these years, is amazing. What was Matty Maroon like to you, someone who was on the inside?
Well, Matty Maroon was a very shrewd businessman. He did the same as all these billionaires in Detroit had done. The Images amassed so much property when they was trying to get the arena sat on it. They making money. But he was a person that helped a lot of people that he didn't even want anybody to know. He shunned the spotlight. you crossed him, you had to fight. Very knowledgeable about the history of the city, loved this city, helped out a lot of people, and people don't know that. The same people that beat up on him on the internet and beat up on him in public used to come to the Ambassador Bridge, and he sponsored a lot of events in this town. And those same people today that's talking about him, the comment section of the paper, these are the same people that enjoyed those events. So yeah, Matty Maroon and his family, good family.
Tell me a little bit about the train station. I mean, anyone who comes to Detroit, I mean, you see that building, and
the city of Detroit let that train station under a person that I worked for, the late Honorable Coleman Young. It was on his last legs when I was working for him in the early 80s. And when it closed, it was neglected. Thieves went in there, took whatever they could take. And when the bridge company bought it, it was, it was in bad shape. Now, the city wasn't going to let them tear it down. And so, everybody used to come. There'd be people saying, we can do this, we can do that. But really, under the Kilpatrick administration, they proposed that the police headquarters go there, but it never came to be. They were just blowing smoke. So, it sat there. People are going to be real happy now that when Ford finished it, that this train station wasn't torn down. Look at the old Brook Cadillac. It sat there for 20, 30 years until it was renovated and developed. A city like Detroit that was abandoned, it takes time to bring it back. And people think you could just come snapping your fingers and there it is, we're back. And we saw that with Dan Gilbert buying up all these properties, and he can't, ain't nowhere in the world that you could, where's the towers he's supposed to build? Can't do it in 5 years or 10 years. It's going to take some time. So yeah, they sat on that and they took a lot of heat. I had to give them credit, because if I was in his shoes, I would have been fighting back tit for tat. But, they held off, and finally somebody came and said, we can do something with it. So when this building reopens, it's going to be the catalyst for development in the Corktown area. And that had to do with Matty Maroon and the Ambassador Bridge Company decided they wasn't going to tear this building down. And Detroit is famous for tearing great buildings down. The old City Hall, Cadillac Square, torn down. You can name about 8 or 9 buildings that should still be in the downtown area, but people were so in a hurry to get rid of it.
And he did quite a number holding on to his monopoly with the Ambassador Bridge as long as he did. Still today, there's not another one up yet. So he worked pretty hard there too.
Why not? Canada had an opportunity to buy the bridge. They didn't. He bought it. What's wrong with that? 2 men. It was a brainchild of 2 men to build a bridge. It's always been a private-owned bridge. I don't understand. People should read about the history of the Ambassador Bridge. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I thought it was great that somebody owned the bridge. He took care of the bridge. He made money. That's what you do in life. That's what capitalism is all about. He never wanted a dime from the state, from the city, etc. And people got mad at that. Listen, Matty Maroon was it was an honor to work with someone like Matty Maroon.
All right, Adif Mongo giving us the inside story on working for Matty Maroon, one of the most interesting billionaires and one of the most interesting characters in Detroit's history. We'll see how history remembers Matty Maroon, who passed away on Sunday. Thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show, Adolf.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
All right, we'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after we check in on weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
Still watching that major delay because of a motorcycle accident. This one, a fatal one. Kevin Cruz on the scene investigating 75 southbound at 7 Mile. It is closed there. You are backed up for several miles. Southbound 75 between 9 and 7 Mile, a very slow ride. You can take Woodward instead. Crews may be on the scene investigating that for quite some time. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by IBEW Local 58 and the National Electrical Contractors Association, NECA. Put the expertise and skill of NECA signatory contractors and IBEW electricians to work on your commercial, public, industrial, or residential construction project. Safety and proper PPE use matter more than ever. Start safe, stay safe. www.poweringmichigansfuture.com.
Good looking morning. A few clouds around. We get into the afternoon. Sunshine with a few clouds at a high of 84. Tonight, some clouds 67. Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Maybe an isolated shower thunderstorm at a high of 88. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Stagicom, News Talk 760 WJR.
This is Darren McCarty for Pain Free Life Centers. Claude Lemieux is still a turtling bitch. Signed, Darren McCarty. Let me tell you a little bit about Pain Free Life Centers and what they really do. It's unbelievable, the high-intensity, high-dose laser therapy. They treat your pain right at its source. What's the easiest way for me to tell you what it feels like to have a treatment done? I can't explain it. It just works. If they can help me with my bad back, join the team. I'm sure they can help you too.
Regaining your quality of life starts at Pain Free Life Centers. We're so confident in what we do, your initial consultation and first treatment are free. Call Pain Free Life Centers today. You truly have nothing to lose but your pain. Call 248-879-1100 or go to painfreelifecenters.com.
Give my friends at Pain Free Life Centers a call today, or I might find you and Claude Lemieux.
That's 248-879-1100 or visit painfreelifecenters.com.
He flew fighter jets in 2 wars and taught you how to drive a car. He fed everyone on the block, but never shared his secret recipes. And every time he'd tell a story, he'd own the room. But now more than ever, he may feel alone. Today, older adults and their loved ones are struggling to connect in a time when connection has never been more important. But there is something we can do. Embrace our older loved ones through StoryCorps Connect. With StoryCorps Connect, you can honor seniors remotely with an interview about their life. Every interview will be archived at the Library of Congress, becoming part of American history, so that years from now, future generations can listen in.
All right, Grandpa, what's one piece of advice you have for me?
Just 3 words, sweetheart. Live with courage. The man that had the best stories still has plenty of stories to tell. So connect virtually and share the conversation of a lifetime at storycorpsconnect.org/AARP. Connect, honor, share.
Hello, sir.
Hey, so once we start and get into the next segment, we're going to take you down and then just let the master control sit up there for the interview, because it will look weird if you just were sitting up there when the taped interview was going on.
Okay. So we will take a little break, and
we'll take a little break
fill up
for
the coffee, fill up the coffee cup.
Exactly.
Nice.
Right.
Okay, that sounds good. And then we got the lieutenant governor coming up.
Right.
A lot of feedback on Facebook today. We fired up the base here.
Yes, I see that. Trump and masks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you got people fired up as soon as you started bringing up the whether or not his tweets about the female Democrats are going to hurt him or not.
I don't think they will. I just think it's interesting that the New York Times put that out there. I mean, Trump is going to say whatever he says about anyone. I don't think he cares, who you are. He's going to say whatever he wants, and people like that about him or they don't. I tell you, I'm a huge fan of the president using Twitter in general. I love having that direct contact after decades of having to wait for some reporter to analyze what the president said and then feed it to us with their spin or their take. Here, I mean, the president just boom. I mean, he just tells you what's on his mind, tells you what's going on. The direct access is amazing to me.
Plus, you can also tell that he does it himself. He doesn't have anybody doing it for him. Like he gets up. And the first thing he does is he checks Twitter. He's like us. He just goes and he checks social media.
Right. It's like 5 a.m. He's up. He's tweeting. He's ready to go. And a lot of times there's misspellings or whatever. I mean, just like my thumbs are too fast, moving too fast, and he sort of. So that access to me is amazing. I hope we never lose that part of. Technology where your president can just pop on whenever he wants and talk to you. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, it makes you kind of wonder. So when Trump's time ends, whether it's in November or whether he wins and gets another 4 years, will the next administration, depending on who the president is, be so open with Twitter?
Right. No, for sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they absolutely will not be. I don't know how anyone could be as open and direct on Twitter or any of the other social media, but you can't argue the importance of it. That's for sure. I mean,
yeah, for
amazing.
Sure. I mean, it's amazing how social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, have become such fixtures in our lives. And as people who work in the media, how big a part Twitter especially plays in the day-to-day operations, and you probably remember how it used to be back in the day, it's just crazy.
The news media, I mean, they literally, if you watch morning shows or radio, constantly, the first thing you do is you look at Twitter, see what did the president, how did he start the day? He's got the first word of every day.
Right. All right, here we go. We'll be back after this segment.
All right.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
This weekend, we avoided an all-out disaster. When I say we could have had riots worse than any we've seen around the country, I'm not exaggerating. We had a shooting in Detroit. A resident was shot by police. The public was starting to gather, and they were saying things like the man was executed by police, that he was unarmed, and that he was shot more than a dozen times. Word spread quickly on social media. Protesters headed to the scene. They were not happy. Police tried to explain that the man who was killed shot at them first, but they didn't seem to believe them. Chief Craig jumped into action and took action that helped avoid a tragedy. And joining us on the line now is Chief James Craig of the Detroit Police Department. Thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate being here.
So the key seemed to be getting video out, body cam video, police dash cam video that clearly showed this man shot twice right at a police officer before officers returned fire. Can you sort of walk us through how this developed and how dangerous this is when we don't have good information?
Well, unfortunately, some of your colleagues in television, one said, well, I guess we should expect transparency going forward. I said, well, I've always been transparent since I've been here. In fact, within 45 minutes of this officer-involved shooting incident, I was before camera explaining what took place because I know how critical it is to get information out to the community. Of course, that wasn't good enough because those irresponsible individuals, as you indicated, put out false information, did so in a manner that incited some. And so then we see a convergence on the scene, not just of some locals, but some outsiders that came in armed and ready to attack the police. So, fortunately, we're able to do something that I've not seen done. And I got to give tremendous thanks to our homicide team and certainly the 12th precinct, those brave officers who responded to an imminent threat to their life. But to get that information out, how we did, when we did, was no small undertaking. And so we got it out, and fortunately, it refuted the lies that were being put out in the community that we basically executed this man who was focused on one thing, and that was taking a police officer's life.
It is not easy to turn around and produce video from body cams immediately, and it was amazing that was done. And it's unrealistic to think that every incident that takes place in a city as large as Detroit, you're going to be able to produce video in an instant. People are going to have to take the word of the police department on the scene of a situation that took place, or we're going to have serious problems in the streets.
I would agree with you. Kevin, we have always been transparent and upfront, but we're dealing with a different climate today. And anytime we have to use deadly force, there's this belief that the deadly force was excessive and that we were wrong. There's something called due process, and we should take our time, trust the people that are standing out and giving information, even within 45 minutes of an incident. Whenever I have to do it so quickly, I always run the risk of at times giving out not the most accurate information, because it changes. Even since Friday, I talked about the 8 shots in 5 seconds. We have learned since my Friday briefing that the suspect actually fired an additional shot. So 5 shots were fired by the suspect and 4 fired by 3 officers. So there was no excess on the part of the police officer. It was tremendous discipline, swift reaction to a very dangerous situation. But Kevin, one of the things that I know you can certainly understand this, but when the media runs out and embraces information that we now know to be untrue, what role does the media play in facilitating anger? I mean, because it just seems to me that the other side was gaining much more momentum than what I had to say early on.
The media has a responsibility, and the responsibility is not to be first or out there with the most sensational story. I think it's going to be important, Chief, to sit down with the management of the local TV stations and the newspapers again, and have a serious talk about what the responsibilities are of the media, because it is a very volatile time right now, and it doesn't take much to spark a riot that could take years to recover from. And it's crucial that good information be shared, and that people's safety be first. And sometimes you don't put all the information out there. You don't have to put information out in the media, even if you have it. There's a responsibility in how you disseminate information. And it was very scary this weekend. It was very troubling to watch.
It could have been worse. Oh yeah. I mean, it could have been so much worse, Kevin. And again, you had some on the ground journalists that it was almost as if they were narrating a WWF kind of, just sensationalizing it. I was most concerned with the information going out in social media, because that's the platform today, particularly with, some of the marchers who became extremely agitated. All of them had handsets. So they knew in real time what was being put out. And so I was told by my staff that was on the ground at the time I was doing the press conference and released the video, at least half of the protesters left.
Well, I applaud you for getting the video out quickly and stopping what could have been a disaster. Chief Craig, thanks for being on the show, and thanks for being out on the streets when we need you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
This report is sponsored by HCR Manor Care. Want to help your community? The HCR Manor Care team in the Detroit area needs you. Now hiring RNs, LPNs, and CNAs. You'll have growth opportunities, real training, and tuition assistance, all while helping your community. Apply online at jobs.hcr-manorcare.com.
75 southbound at 7 Miles still closed there due to a fatal motorcycle accident. You are being forced to exit at 7 Mile and seeing delays 75 southbound between 696 and 7 Mile. If you can avoid the area, please do. A cruiser on the scene performing that investigation work. You can take Woodward instead. Lodge southbound after the Davison disabled vehicle is blocking the left lane. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the law firm of Victoria, Divorce and Family Law for Women Only. Family members and friends pass this information on to your loved ones. Asset protection, best interest of the children. The conversation starts with the law firm of Victoria. Call 248-723-1600. VictoriaLawFirm.com. Great start once again today. Sunshine, 64 degrees, going up to a nice, comfortable 84. Seeing some cloud cover and some sun throughout the day. Partly cloudy tonight, your low 68. It gets hot around here on Wednesday. Some clouds, a stray shower, especially in the morning. A high of 89 degrees. The humidity returns. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors.
Stock market have you nervous with all the massive fluctuations? With the impact.
Hello.
You were back.
We're back. Okay. What did we miss? Clint Forrester joined us. Good to see you, Clint. Welcome from West Michigan, beautiful West Michigan. Patrick is still coming. Paul's with us. He's been busy this morning. Chief Craig is the man. Chief Craig is the man. Boy, he has really been stepping up, doing a phenomenal job keeping Detroit safe through all of this. Dave, you've been following this pretty wild, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a great job of keeping, sanity in the city of Detroit. It could have gotten out of control very easily. I think he's done a phenomenal job of keeping everything very, very good. I'm pretty proud of the city of Detroit. I think they've handled it pretty well, as best as they could. I think they've done better than some of the other cities across the country where we saw some other stuff that was going on. And I think you can attribute that to the mayor. I think you can attribute that to Chief Craig for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see. He's there. He's on the scene, quickly. The way he was able to turn that video around is fantastic. So I'm really proud of the work he's done. The police department's done. Detroit residents in general have done a great job of keeping their heads calm, of keeping their cool.
Yeah, for sure. It could have really gotten out of control. It could have gotten very bad. And I think that the city's done a great job. Definitely. So now we've got 1 day of the required masks. I went to a few places. Signs are out. I did see a very unusual sign at a Coney Island that actually said that if you have a medical condition that prohibits you from wearing the mask, then we're not going to ask you to wear the mask to be in here. And because of HIPAA rules, we can't ask you if you have a medical condition that prohibits you from wearing a mask. So we enjoy you coming to our place of business. So how do you feel about that?
So I was out at a few places too, and I noticed more than I've ever noticed before. It says, you can't come in here or don't come in here without a mask. But it's not, they can refuse to let you in. They don't have to though. And so there's been a lot of talk about people who the masks make them sick, or they bother them, or they cause breathing problems. And I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Maybe there's a less restrictive kind of covering, maybe a scarf or a bandana or something is safer or more comfortable than a mask. Maybe that will be one of the ways they get through this. But they're talking about fines. I want to see who they're going to fine and why. The lieutenant governor's coming on. They're not going to fine people in large crowds who are not wearing masks. They're talking about fines for businesses who don't require it. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. What enforcement is going to look like.
And you bring up a good point, because as we know, we get into the fall and winter months around here in Michigan, people are always wearing scarves or those the neck warmers that come up above the face, or half a ski mask or something like that, and they have no problem wearing those when you're not required to. So part of it kind of makes me think like they're just kind of upset about it because they're being told they have to do it, and people don't like to be told that they have to do something. Even if it's for their own good.
No, that's for sure. I like the sort of the turtleneck thing that you can pull over your neck and then it's on. That doesn't bother me at all. And then when I think about it, I just pull it up. What drives me crazy is trying to remember to have a mask all the time. Throw a mask in the car, a mask in my pocket, everywhere I go. It seems like I'm turning around. So for me, a more wearable mask will keep me wearing a mask more often, I guess. I do like that. I don't even know what they're for. I don't know if they're headgear or what they are, but we have all these sort of things turtlenecks, sort of things you can wear and just kind of pull them up. I kind of like that.
Now I see that Patrick on the Facebook stream says face shields. Does a face shield cover for wearing a mask when you go into a place?
Yeah, I think so. I've seen people.
Does it work?
I was picking up a pizza the other day, and someone came in a full shield. And went in to get their pizza. I imagine that would count. They said the governor's statement in the executive order listed scarves and bandanas. It didn't. I don't think it said specifically. Those clear plastic masks, but we'll find out in a little bit.
Yeah, I see that they sell. I saw them at Costco and at Sam's. I saw the face shields where you could get like a 3-pack. So they definitely are selling them. They're a little big for me. I don't know if I'd want to walk around with a complete face shield on. It kind of makes me think that like what they're going to do when like hockey starts up again. Are they going to go to like the full face shields, like instead of the cages that they wear in college? Right. Or I saw that Oakley has come out with something for the National Football League, some type of face shield or a visor to wear for football if they can get the NFL season started. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to see what happens.
Or if we even know if they work better or work at all, or if masks work or work at all, So we'll have to see. Paul is not happy the lieutenant governor is coming on. A waste of time to hear from. Paul, what would you ask the lieutenant governor if you got your shot? I think I personally like to hear from all sides. I'm not a big fan of one show that just rattles off the same thing over and over again. I'd rather hear from both and make up my mind on different issues. Once I hear, but I do that at home too. I'll flip to all the channels, I won't just keep it on one. I like to hear what different people are saying. I have my own thoughts on just about everything and anything, but I do like to hear from everybody. So
also apparently once the news is finished, Dick will be available to us also, but just via he won't be on the Facebook Live, but we'll be able to hear him.
Okay, good. And we're going to fill till 7-Eleven and then
right.
With a 5-year warranty on everything.
And it's the business beat with Jeff Sloan. That's correct.
Visit tricountysvs.com now.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Welcome back to the Paul W. Smith Show. It is Tuesday, July the 14th, and we are joined by Dave Rieger and Dick Hafner. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Kevin.
Good morning, Kevin.
How you doing, Dick?
I'm just peachy. I couldn't be better. 100%.
100%. I like it. Dick, you had a story on the news, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about it. I find it interesting, and it's the story about protesters blocking the Detroit Public School bus garage, trying to prevent kids from getting to school. Detroit opening up with summer school, volunteer effort. Teachers could volunteer to come in. Parents could volunteer to have their kids come in. The superintendent saying it's really important. We don't have enough kids who have technology to do at-home learning. We need face-to-face. We don't want our kids to fall behind educationally. And it's important that we be able to get kids in. But protesters seem to think that it's not safe for kids to go, even though they're not their own kids, because it's a volunteer program, but they have been trying to block buses to keep kids from going into schools, saying schools aren't safe. And why are you sending Detroit kids to school if the kids in the suburbs aren't going to school? Dick, what are you seeing and what are you thinking about this?
Well, there are a few dozen protesters outside the main terminal that is on Detroit's west side on Greenfield. And it's the same place where they blocked buses successfully yesterday. I believe that the witnesses and the school district say that one bus got through, but then with the protesters making a ruckus as they did, the district decided just send the bus drivers home, keep the buses behind the gates, and not try to do a confrontation with the protesters. That's at the main bus terminal, but there are several other smaller terminals around the city where apparently protesters are not located, and buses are going out from those terminals. So most of the students, I believe, from the reports and from what the superintendent Beatty has said, most of the students are able to get to the in-person classes if they want to. It's all voluntary. Families, parents, students, it's voluntary. You don't have to go. And teachers who are going to be in class also volunteer for this. So most of the students are supposedly getting there, but dozens are not. And it's the same thing we saw yesterday.
Dave, on day one, they said about 500 students attended classes in about 20 buildings. Again, the classes were optional. Students didn't have to be there. Same for teachers. They volunteered to go. Do you feel like it's important that these kids get in the classroom and not fall behind? Or do you think it's more important that we protect kids by making sure that the coronavirus is not going to, they're not going to become infected and they're not going to take it home to their families?
I think it's a tight line that you have to walk between making sure that they stay safe, because we don't know how well they can social distance at school, and then also not falling behind, because a lot of these students also probably did not have or might not have had access to the online learning that was happening at the end of the previous school year. So I think it's a fine line that you have to walk. And I think if they're volunteering and if they can keep socially distanced and keep safe, then I think it's very important that they get back in there and try to get caught up on what they missed.
The superintendent says they can keep the buildings clean and they can keep it safe. They have a budget to do that. They have the ability to do that, and that is the plan, and that's what they're doing. I sure would feel better if we could get more technology to the people of Detroit. I know when the Rocket Mortgage Classic was in town, that was the one thing they decided to spend their charitable dollars on, was getting people connected in Detroit so that they had the same opportunities as people in the suburbs. I do feel like in-person teaching provides things that online teaching doesn't. I watch my kids take their college courses online, and they tell me it's not the same. It's not as in-depth. It's not as good of an education. So I'd like to see people have the opportunity in the suburbs to go face-to-face in summer school as well. I don't like the idea that just Detroit is going back and the suburbs aren't. But I understand what the superintendent's saying. I mean, look, you don't want to fall behind. It's challenging and it's hard. And parents have jobs and they're working and they can't always do homeschooling. I couldn't homeschool my kids. I would need the help.
Many families cannot do that. They found this to be a big challenge. These protesters, many of them are people who have shown up at the anti-police protests. Tristan Taylor, for example, who has been a leader in these raucous demonstrations and protests. The BAM people are showing up at these school bus gates, the terminal, to try to block the buses. But they make a really interesting point, Kevin and Dave. They say that they think the summer classes, in-person classes, are being used as an experiment by the superintendent, a laboratory, to see if the guidelines that the safety policies that they're carrying out for summer school will work for the fall. And the protesters say this is dangerous. You're not going to be able to protect these students, and why use them as guinea pigs? I think that's a valid question to ask.
Absolutely. I would not want my kid to be first in line to find out if it's safe. Just like getting the first vaccine. I don't want to be the first person to get the first vaccine. So I'm with you. I tend to agree with protesters on this one. We're going to check in with Jeff Sloan, now founder and CEO of Startup Nation, to spotlight the entrepreneurial tech and startup community here on WJR.
Good morning, Kevin. This report is hot off the presses. The Brand Finance Media 25 report, which ranks the world's most valuable media brands, is now out. And just when you thought they might be down and out, if not on their way out, Facebook comes in at number 1. Facebook has indeed just been named the world's most valuable media brand, according to the Brand Finance report. This marks the first time that the independent brand valuation consultancy has included social media, and Facebook stormed into the media rankings in first place with a brand value of $79.8 billion, says the report. Facebook, of course, has over 2.5 billion active monthly users, and it's the most popular social media platform in the world. And this brand continues to roll and post profits well above analyst expectations. In spite of recent advertising boycotts and various scandals, Facebook is on a roll, and it's outpacing analyst expectations well above what it was expected to do. Other notable media giants coming in amongst the top 10 include Disney, last year's number 1 finisher. This year comes in at number 2 with an estimated brand value of $56 billion. YouTube comes in at number 3 with an estimated brand value of $44 billion. And how about upstart Netflix at number 6 with a brand value of $22 billion? Other points of interest: Fox was fastest falling media brand with a 47% decrease in brand value, now down to $8.4 billion, moving it to number 12 in the rankings. SiriusXM was the fastest growing brand, showing 33% valuation growth to reach a $5 billion brand valuation. YouTube and Netflix are cited as media brands to watch given their accelerated growth. Media, like many other businesses, is changing right before our eyes. A closer look makes clear another way this pandemic is reshaping consumer habits and reshaping the business landscape along with it. So if you're an entrepreneur, look for opportunity where the action will be in the future, not where it's been. I'm Jeff Sloan, founder and CEO of StartupNation.com, and that's today's Business Beat on the great voice of the Great Lakes, WJR.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking for an easier way to find your next job? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Visit ExpressPros.com to find one of over 830 locations to help support your workforce needs.
Earlier disabled vehicle along the Lodge southbound after the Davison. That vehicle is clear. A new one in the Way 94 westbound after Division Road. That disabled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. 75 southbound still closed at 7 Mile as police investigate a fatal motorcycle accident. You are backed up for several miles there. Southbound 75, a slow ride between 696 down to 7 Mile. You can take Woodward instead. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the law firm of Victoria, Divorce and Family Law for Women Only. Family members and friends pass this information on to your loved ones. Asset protection, best interest of the children. Security protection, a brighter tomorrow. The conversation starts with the law firm of Victoria. Call them at 248-723-1600, victorialawfirm.com.
We'll see a few clouds around this morning. Actually, temperature is pretty comfortable this afternoon, right where we should be. Sunshine, a little overcast at times, 84. Tonight, a few clouds, a little milder, 67. Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Could be an isolated shower thunderstorm at a high warmer, 88. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare contracts, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. I guarantee if we can't cancel your timeshare contract, you'll pay nothing.
Were you lied to when buying a timeshare and want out? Get the facts about timeshare cancellation. Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-256-5533. 800-256-5533. 800-256-5533.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
I got an alert on my phone at 4:44 p.m. yesterday. The new mask order was in effect. But what does it really mean? We're going to find out from Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. Garland, are you here?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, Kevin. I hope that you and your family are staying safe.
We are, and it's nice to hear from you. Can you tell our listeners what exactly this new executive order means? There seems to be some confusion right out of the gate.
Yeah, it's really straightforward. If you are leaving your home and going to some place that is indoors, you should have a mask on. And if you're leaving your home and going someplace that is outdoors and you cannot maintain 6 feet of distance between you and other people, you should have a mask on, period.
If you're going to a place, I was out at a couple of different places. I was at a post office yesterday. I was at a CVS yesterday. There was a sign that said, wear your mask when entering here. Are they ordered to make me wear a mask? Are they encouraged to make me wear a mask? Am I required by law to wear a mask?
We're taking up the mantra, no shoes, no shirt, no mask, no service. And we are, yes, requiring businesses to enforce the mask policy when people come indoors. Now, it's not a change that masks have been required for people when they've left their homes. It's actually been in effect for several months. So that is not a change. But now we're asking businesses to step up because they have a responsibility to protect their employees and their customers as well.
So I pop into a store and I don't have a mask on. Do I get the ticket? Does the store get the ticket? Do we both get the ticket?
The store has the responsibility here, but I think we need to focus on something a little different here. What's at stake here is not who gets a $500 fine. What's at stake is who has the possibility of getting sick from COVID-19. And frankly, as someone who's lost 23 people in his life to COVID-19, I think we need to keep focused on what the bigger picture is here. And it's that we don't want people to get sick preventably. We don't want people to die preventably. Because I know that it's inconvenient to wear a mask. Look, I've never had to wear a mask in my life before then. I have to train my twin 6-year-old children on how to wear masks. But it's a whole lot more convenient to wear a mask than it is to be in a hospital or be on a ventilator or die or have someone in your life pass away. And that's really what this is about, because we have a virus that is novel. We still don't know how it's going to impact people's bodies. We don't know what's going to happen. If a person contracts it, they may get symptoms and have to go to the hospital, and heaven forbid the worst may come of that. So we have something very simple that we can do to keep people safe and keep ourselves safe. And I think the overwhelming majority of people in Michigan have done that this whole time. And I think they're going to step up and meet this challenge. I would liken it to the fact that we put a piece of cloth across our bodies every time we get in a car to prevent loss of life, called a seatbelt. We're going to do the same. We're asking people to do the same thing and put a piece of cloth over their face to prevent the spreading of COVID-19. And I think that's something that the people of Michigan, as resilient as we've always been, are overwhelmingly going to step up and do, because they want people to be safe. They want their kids to be able to go back to school in a month and a half. And this is the most straightforward thing that we can do, along with hand washing and maintaining 6 feet of distance and cleaning surfaces, that we can do to make sure that that's possible.
We have a lot of data that seatbelts save lives. Do we have good, solid data that wearing a mask is going to save lives?
That's continuing to build. We have some of the finest public health, infectious disease, and epidemiological experts in the world here in the state of Michigan. And that is a recommendation that's been coming not only from them, but also from the Centers for Disease Control, from the Trump administration itself. And so, this is not about, masks should not be a political issue, although they have become one. That is frankly a failure of the national response. But in Michigan, we can mask up and do things differently and be a model for the country and show people what it means to keep people safe. And so frankly, yes, I get it. It's inconvenient when it's hot outside and you want to walk out or you want to ride bikes. But again, it's a whole lot harder to breathe on a ventilator than it is under a mask.
When police put out on their website that don't call us if someone's not wearing a mask, we're not going to respond to that. What does that do to the effort from the governor's office to try and get people to wear masks?
Well, look, we've been doing everything that we can at the state level. And again, the overwhelming majority of our local partners at every level of government have worked with us to make sure that we can keep communities safe. I think, everyone has a responsibility to keep the people that they serve safe. That's our number one responsibility as public servants, protect and promote public safety and public health. I certainly would hope those law enforcement officials who've chosen to make a choice like that would think about the people that they're serving and their potential risks, both to themselves and to those who they are charged to protect and serve. And hopefully they'll step up, because I think it's important that we all need to be on the same team here when it comes to combating COVID-19, because we all have a role to play in our state having a response that minimizes the number of people who get sick and minimizes our loss of life going forward.
COVID-19 has changed all of our lives. It's a massive crisis and it needs to be dealt with. But how much of the regular work is getting done in Lansing? I haven't heard much about fixing roads and other things. Is the regular day-to-day work still getting done, or are we completely preoccupied by COVID-19?
Well, our administration has been working. I think you saw, for example, we've taken a lot of actions to try to keep people safe, and these things, like COVID-19 has impacted every area of life. And so therefore life must continue to work. That's why we've been doing things like making sure that, the safety net is there for people who have had hardship that has been exacerbated because of COVID-19. But I think you saw a few weeks ago, we announced a budget deal with our legislative counterparts to make sure that we were going to have a state budget that made sense. We're continuing to advocate for more resources from the federal government for the budget going forward. So our administration is still working on behalf of the people of Michigan, and we certainly hope that the Republican leadership in the legislature in Lansing is going to choose to do the same thing. I think that, there's some questions about whether that was the case before, but they have an opportunity to step up and do the right thing now. And so I think we certainly are continuing to do the work that we took an oath to do on behalf of the people of Michigan. And I think we've been seeing that at the local level as well. There's still work that needs to be done. So no, we're not taking days off dealing with COVID-19.
You're a Detroiter. Detroit Public Schools are trying to open up for summer school. They opened up yesterday. It's a volunteer basis. Protesters are getting in front of buses saying you can't use Detroit kids as an experiment to see if schools are going to be safe moving forward. As you look at the dangers of COVID and you go out and you convince people to wear masks and to wash their hands and to be safe, how do you feel about kids showing up at school right now in the current situation?
Well, look, I'm not. This is not a theoretical exercise for me. I'm the parent of two Detroit Public Schools Community District students. I have twin rising second graders in DPSCD, and I think that what we need to be focused on as quickly as possible, as like a laser, frankly, is what is going to happen with in-person education in the fall. That means people need to mask up and do all the things I talked about to keep the spread of this virus down. When it comes to school right now, I frankly think that we should be focusing on the fall and not the summer. I know that a lot of parents feel the same way, because a lot of parents, a lot of education professionals are really nervous because we're seeing numbers go in the wrong direction. We're seeing this uptick happening in our state and in communities across the state, and people don't want to put their kids in harm's way. They don't want to put their education professionals, the people their kids love at those schools, in harm's way. And I certainly share that sentiment. So we need to be really, really careful and cautious about the choices that we're making. We need to make sure that we have plans and that the resources are available to schools to be able to implement those plans to safely return to learning. That's why we're advocating so strongly to the federal government to make sure they're making resources available. We put forward in the budget deal I talked about $256 million to support return to learning, but we know we're going to need even more resources to do this at scale. I've been working during this whole pandemic to make sure kids had access to the internet and access to internet-enabled devices. 600,000 kids in our state did not have an internet-enabled device in their home, or 60,000 did not have internet access to be able to learn at a distance. So I get that this is difficult and challenging. We put forward resources and leverage federal resources to train education professionals on how to facilitate learning at a distance. And you've even seen some of the largest districts in the country, LA Unified School District, San Diego, et cetera, make the choice that it wasn't safe enough to do in-person instruction. But if we do what we need to do in Michigan for the next 7 weeks, I think we can get there. But I think we need to focus on the fall primarily.
All right. So mask up, Michigan. Don't worry so much about getting a $500 ticket or a misdemeanor. Worry about protecting yourself and protecting other citizens of Michigan and Southeast Michigan. Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you, Kevin. Stay safe.
You stay safe as well. We'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after we check in on weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by ExpressPros.com. Looking for an easier way to find your next job? It's time to get to know Express Employment Professionals. Visit ExpressPros.com to find one of over 830 locations to help support your workforce needs.
Disabled vehicle 94 westbound after Division Road. It is blocking the right shoulder. That's in St. Clair County. Accident in Detroit, 75 southbound at 7 Mile. Closed there due to a fatal accident involving a motorcycle. Crews on the scene performing an investigation. You can take Woodward instead. You're backed up for several miles. A 75 southbound completely stopped between 696 down to 7 Mile. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. Expecting another great day today. Humidity still low. Currently sunshine, 64 degrees. Add 20 to that, going up to 84 today. Could see some clouds mixed in. Tonight, partly cloudy. Your low 68 starts to heat up on Wednesday. A stray shower, thunderstorm, especially in the morning. Humidity on the rise. A high of 89, 54% humidity. And looking at even more humid conditions on Thursday, 69% humidity and a high of 86. Sunshine, 64 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
There are more than 1,000 reasons.
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
That was interesting. I like this. I like getting his thoughts on school opening. They probably don't like that. They call in to talk about masks, and you ask them about schools.
Exactly.
But I think it gives them an opportunity as well. And he's from Detroit. He's got kids, so
yeah. I don't know what they're going to do about the school thing. It's so hard to keep, social distance, especially with the younger kids. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to work. And nobody ever really talks about the teachers either that are also at risk when the kids come to school that may be asymptomatic too. So the teachers, the administrative staff that are there, the school bus drivers, everybody that's involved with school, they're also at risk too.
I don't know. I want kids to go to school. I want everything to be open. I want the world to be open. I feel like, if you're at risk, then you should stay home. And if you have loved ones at risk, you should protect them. If you're not, then, if you catch it, it's kills a very small percent of people, and people get sick, but not everybody gets real sick. But at the same time, it's really difficult for me to say, okay, send your kids in there and in school, and you first, and it's just like the sports. I mean, I want college football so badly to happen. I love it, but I just think these folks are still kids too, they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and to send them in as guinea pigs to see how that all works out. And I don't even know what we don't know about the virus, how it impacts who's really at risk. I mean, yes, we know elderly are, but are there other things that are inside of us that make us at risk? And it's just a tough spot. I hate to see kids there, but you hate to see kids stay home and not be educated and not have a life. And it's tough, man.
Yes. Sports is, I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, you had Russell Westbrook that got diagnosed with COVID-19 yesterday. So he's down 14 days now for quarantine. So I just don't know what they're going to do. And as far as college football is concerned and college basketball, if you don't have students that are on campus, how can you expect these people to come and play football or play basketball?
Or just go to school. I mean, I want my kids to go back to school. They're in college. I want them to go back to school. I don't want them to miss out on any of this, but I can't imagine them social distancing at all. I think they'll be all, so you'll have, the herd, whatever it's called, where everybody catches it and then they're done with it. I guess the best thing is get moving on the vaccine. I mean, they are spending billions of dollars, throwing money all over the place to companies to try and get a vaccine. I guess that's where we need to get on this thing. But it seems like it seems like we have a pretty good idea of who's vulnerable, and we should work to protect them. The rest of the world needs to keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, think about, with we don't know enough to make it so it's safe. We've never gone through something like this before, so it's all learning as we go along. And I don't know about you, but kind of driving without a plan is dangerous.
Yeah, if first time through it, I guess you got to make a plan for next time. I suppose you work off what information you have of previous, airborne diseases. But I'm not against getting out there and then pulling back if you have to. Get out there and pull back if you have to. I know some people hate that idea too, but I think you can't just shut down forever.
I know it's a tough call. I just don't. I mean, you want to be safe, but you want to try to live your life, safely. And
Dave, Brian's saying we need to call the next guest. Are you calling Paul?
Yeah, I send a message to Brian. He's gonna.
Oh, he's gonna.
Talk.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll do it for us.
Your call. Okay, they're calling. That's your message. I got you.
Yeah, that was my message that I sent to him.
I see. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that's
not to mention the fact that, and I understand because some of the people on the Facebook stream are saying that kids are low at risk. They are. You're right. They are. But what about the teachers? What about the people that work at the school? What about the administration? What about the bus drivers? They aren't kids.
Well,
so
what about grandma and grandpa who take care of kids and the kids go to school and come home to grandma and grandpa? I mean, There's a million questions, but it can all be individual. It can be, voluntary who goes back and who goes back to work and who does all these things. But you'd like to see things opening up and getting those who are willing to go back or want to go back in there. And, that way maybe it's a little easier to decide. Well, we're not forcing everybody back, but people who want to be back are welcome to come back, and you face that risk. It's like the seatbelt. I can drive. I can get my car and drive without a seatbelt on if I choose to. I might get a ticket, and I might get in a crash and die because of it. But if that's a risk you're willing to take, I mean, not that it matches up with this COVID thing, but I think you protect those who are vulnerable, and you let those who want to get out there get out there.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what they come out with the plan for school getting back underway.
Yeah, I am with you. I'll be watching this one closely. I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to send kids and then they're going to bring them all home.
That's the problem. I think they're going to try to open it up and then it's going to get shut down. That's what I'm worried about. It's the same thing I'm worried about with sports.
Yeah, these numbers got to get better, or they won't even try.
Confidence comes with every card. To learn more, visit committedtomichigan.com.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again, substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
When people think of the Ford Bronco, they probably think of O.J. Simpson and that TV episode with the Bronco slowly moving across the freeways of California with police chasing for what seemed like hours. Well, the Ford Bronco is officially back after 24 years. Ford is relaunching the 2021 Bronco. And here to talk about it is Paul Eisenstein, the editor of the DetroitBureau.com. Paul, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Hey, good to be with you, Kevin. Thanks. I'm actually sitting here putting up one more story on the DetroitBureau.com about the new Broncos, plural, and some of the things we like the best from what we're seeing about it.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest car guy in the world. I really need to get better at that. But I was going through some articles, and this car or Jeep looks really cool. I love some of the things that it'll do. The way the doors can pop off or stay on. What has everybody so excited about this?
Well, there are a lot of things. And by the way, I'm going to correct you. Don't use the word Jeep to describe anything but a Jeep. You'll get a letter in the email later on.
Car guy rule number one.
Yeah. Anyway, these new Broncos, there's so many things to talk about. We could probably spend the entire hour. But what's real interesting, first of all, many people still remember it, even though it hasn't been in production for almost a quarter century. It's a distinctive look. It's still popular on the used car market. People spend a fortune to get them and then fix them up. Well, now they have three options. There's a classic two-door and a classic four-door, very retro-looking, though quite modern in many ways. And they also have now the new Bronco Sport. And here's a little secret. They are naming this a brand. You know, that's out there. But what I'm hearing is that we may have several other models. I wouldn't be completely surprised if we see perhaps a Bronco pickup at some point. You know, they used to be able to do those. There were conversions and the like in the past. And I expect to see some new powertrains going forward. There are two powertrains, two EcoBoost turbo engines for the big Broncos and two smaller turbo engines for the baby Bronco or the Bronco Sport. Do I expect something electrified? Absolutely. Just like the Jeep Wrangler, which has a mild hybrid and is getting a plug-in. I would be very surprised if we don't see some sort of hybridized version of one of the Broncos within the next 2 to 3 years.
So is this something we're going to see a mom taking her kids to school in, the family driving up north in? Are we going to see this at the sand dunes? Is this going to be off-road? Is it going to be all of the above?
All of the above, yes, it will be. One of the things I like, at least on paper, having not driven the vehicles yet, but talking with enough of their people internally about what their goals were, it's clear that this vehicle will have at least the off-road capability and probably more than the original Bronco because of all the new technology and all the new features that they're able to build into it. Everything from the new GOAT mode, which basically lets you adjust for all sorts of conditions, no matter what, mud, snow, rocks, or pavement, with one turn of a dial, and other features on there. Of course, all-wheel drive on all Bronco models. But it also is designed to be a much more pleasant drive than the original bucking Bronco was on pavement.
How about price? Is it going to be competitive?
Yeah, expected to probably take on all three models. We'll be trying to take on the various Jeep models, and particularly the Wrangler. We're told that the base version of the bigger models, the big Broncos, will be about $29,995. Now, in reality, when you get up to one of the higher trim levels and you start loading it up with everything, you'll push well into the $40,000 range. And I think some people, when it comes to all the accessories that'll be available, could find a way to get it up over $50,000. We don't know what the baby Bronco, the Bronco Sport, will come in at, but I think that will be even lower. Again, probably coming in around the price of a base Jeep Wrangler.
I have 3 Jeeps in my driveway. My wife has a Grand Cherokee, and my kids, 2 of my kids have Jeeps. They love them. What does Ford do to make people who are Jeep people come over and try the Bronco and fall in love with the Bronco?
Well, that's going to be the challenge, isn't it? And they're also going to try to get some people away from other products like the Subarus, which are known for their ruggedness, and Land Rover on the high end. So Ford has some pretty big aspirations. What's intriguing is that this rugged SUV segment, the ones really aimed at people who want the capabilities to go truly off-road, that is growing even faster than the overall SUV segment. So there's a lot of new buyers that are coming in, and Ford's going to try to get them. Some of it's marketing. We saw this really creative marketing approach where they teamed up with Disney yesterday, and you can find all sorts of stuff from the Disney previews on the Hulu network right now. They're rerunning it, streaming it. But it's also about capability. And I mentioned a little bit before, all models, all-wheel drive. Some quite powerful engines. I mean, they're delivering some serious muscle on these vehicles. There's that GOAT system, the go over any terrain knob, if you will. There's all sorts of other features, many of which we don't have on any other brand, and then some others that we do. They borrowed a few good ideas from Jeep, like the Wrangler's ability to take the doors off and the roof off. What's intriguing is that the new Bronco, the big guys, when you take the doors off, you can actually store them in the back of the vehicle. There's a special holding area, so you don't have to wind up leaving them either at your campsite or leave them at home. You can take the doors off and drive around, and let's say in the evening or when it's raining, you can put everything back on.
The new Ford Bronco, it's going to be tough and fun. Paul Eisenstein, thanks for joining us on the Paul W. Smith Show. You can read his latest reviews of the Bronco on the DetroitBureau.com. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Great to be with you.
All right. We'll have much more of the Paul W. Smith Show coming up after we take a quick break to check on weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
94 westbound after Division Road, disabled vehicle is blocking that right shoulder. 75 southbound, big backup there. It is closed at 7 Mile. 75 southbound, slow between 696 down to 7 Mile. Police are on the scene investigating a fatal motorcycle accident. You can take Woodward instead. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Chris Furniture. This summer, enjoy spending time with your family around a new dining room set from Chris Furniture, U.S. made of solid wood, direct from the manufacturer. Chris Furniture in Livonia on the corner of Plymouth and Farmington Roads, or chrisfurnitureinc.com.
We're in real good shape with comfortable temperatures for the morning hours, a few clouds and sunshine. And we'll go clouds and sun this afternoon, and not bad at 84, right where we should be. A few clouds tonight, 67. Tomorrow, cloud, sun, maybe a shower, thunderstorm late, and a high of 88. From a Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Concerns about COVID-19 aren't going away, but neither are your health concerns. Please.
Pretty cool that they're bringing back the Ford Bronco.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I was looking around. I looked at some videos of it. I looked at some articles. It really looks fun. Really looks cool. Like I said, we're like a Jeep family, and when I jump in the kids' car or my wife's car, I think they're fun cars to drive. I don't know if that's what I pick for every day, but they're really fun. And if the Bronco's going in that route, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. I'll be in the market for a new car soon, since my lease will be running up soon. So,
would you consider that?
I usually do Chevy, but it might be something to look at.
Yeah, I definitely would be interested in looking at it. I sometimes, again, I like to let somebody else get the first round and see how it does, see if they worked all the kinks out or not. Some cars, it's amazing how some cars, some years, makes and models just do great and last forever, and others don't do as well. It's interesting when you look back over time to see which cars really hold up.
I mean, SUVs and trucks are so popular right now, and the sedans are going away, so that's going to be the future is the SUVs and the trucks. So
until gas prices go back to $4, and then everyone will be buying electric.
I know. Yeah. Teslas for everyone.
Paul said that there's looking at an electric version of this. Would you be interested in an electric Bronco?
Yeah, possibly. I like Patrick's idea. I do need a Mustang. Patrick, can you purchase that for me? I would. I'll definitely drive one of those.
The Mustang years were great. Gosh, that was a fun car. I know they're still around, but the original Mustangs were so fun.
Yeah, very cool.
It's National Mac and Cheese Day. Paul W. would be all over that. I apologize for not knowing
for sure.
What National Day is. I do like listening to Paul update us on which National Day it is. You go for some mac and cheese.
Some good mac and cheese. Yeah, for sure. I would definitely do a Mustang, or I kind of like the Challenger though too. like a burnt orange Challenger with like a black stripe down the middle.
That was the first car I got my son was a Challenger, and he had it for a year and a half. His second winter in the Challenger, he could not get through the snow at all on that thing, and he switched to a Jeep. But man, that was a fun car.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I had a Impala SS for a while, and I went to the first winter, and it was like, yeah, done with this car.
back in the 80s, I think the first car I ever bought brand new with my own money was a Mazda Miata, and it was that little convertible.
Yeah.
I thought it was so cool, but that thing did not go in the snow, and it did not have a big engine on it. The first version of it, it was more of a cutesy car. It was a ton of fun, but I found out that April 1st, I had to put it away, and then I had a beater that I bought for about $500 or $1,000 to get me through the snow. But that was fun. Cars are great when you have one that you really look forward to jumping in and going for a ride versus my daughter wants a pickup truck now.
I have a truck. Very cool. Little hard to park sometimes. Not the greatest turn radius I've ever had. And you become the most popular person in the neighborhood when you have a truck to move stuff.
Yeah, I had when I was 16, I had a truck for a little while, and I loved it. It was great, and yes, you were very popular. People always had a little something that just needed to get moved from here to there.
Oh yeah, I will say it does handle solid in the snow. I am one of those guys now who can drive down the freeway when there's like that, thin layer of snow and spraying the snow on other people, and they get all upset.
In one day.
I'm that guy now.
He is waiting. Reserve your spot at ltu.edu.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
COVID-19 may have shut down much of the world, but it has not stopped criminals. As the United States and the world deal with the ongoing pandemic, the FBI's national security and criminal investigative work continues. There are threats you should be aware of so you can take steps to protect yourself. And here to talk about some of those is the FBI Special Agent in Charge in Detroit of the FBI, Stephen D'Antuono. Stephen, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thanks, Kevin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you? How are you surviving? I haven't seen you since we started this COVID lockdown. Are things well?
Yeah. No, it's going well. We're still busy and still out there protecting the American people.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you are seeing? I know when I talk to local and state prosecutors, domestic violence was a big deal. I understand you guys have had some serious concerns about cyber security.
Yeah, it was actually when I was on hold listening to one of your ads for, I think it was Washington Trust or something like that. They were talking about real estate scams. What we would call business email compromise, but in this case it's more or less real estate compromise, and in which people are sending emails to someone to send their settlement money to a different bank account because someone's taken over the email of the settlement company or the title company. So things like that, still are out there. The cyber scams are out there. Work from home schemes, obviously with the rising unemployment that we see in the country, there are a lot of work from home schemes which become money mule schemes. So a money mule being someone that's moving money a lot of times unwittingly for criminals through our banking system. So they're asked to set up an account. Hey, you're going to work for XYZ company. You're just going to work from home. That's great through COVID, but I need you to set up a bank account. And then I'm going to send you wiring information, and somebody's going to send you money from, our suppliers. And then you just got to send it wherever I tell you to. Okay, that sounds great. You take a cut. Those sometimes are unwitting money mule schemes, in which you're moving money for a fraudster, being a romance fraud scheme or BEC or a real estate fraud scheme or whatever. So people get duped into those things.
Yeah, COVID-19 has showed us the best of people with our frontline heroes and the worst of people with our frontline criminals. One of the things people are concerned about is their kids. The kids are home more; they're not at school. They have access to the internet. It's hard to watch them all the time. We hear about exploitation of children, sex trafficking. We hear about child pornography, even people, busting in on sites where kids are. What are you guys seeing, and what do parents need to know to protect their families?
So it's obviously the predators are always out there, right? We're doing what we can to bring them to justice, but with kids and adults being on on the screens a lot more than they were before, probably, especially through the lockdown. We're a little bit different now in a posture. Maybe we get locked down again if the coronavirus keeps going up. But parents just have to be aware of what their kids are doing on their phones, on the computers, behind locked doors, behind doors in the bedrooms, and just ask those questions, have those conversations with your kids. There's a lot of good privacy screening systems out there, either through your cable or through the phones or through the gaming consoles, and that's what one of the things people don't really sometimes miss is the fact that the gaming consoles like PlayStation or Xbox, kids could be talking to anybody on those as well. Those are open forums. And so you have to know who your kids are talking to and just have those conversations. So I think we've, in this environment, and homeschooling or school is over, but there was a lot of stress going on with parents. I don't have any little ones at home. My kids are bigger and college age, so I feel for the ones that had to homeschool. But there was a lot of tired parents. I think at the end of the night, they might not have been watching what their kids are doing. So just ask those questions. That's the biggest concern in privacy setting.
There's a lot of government money flying around. There's stimulus money out there. There's unemployment money. Are criminals taking advantage of people during this time?
Oh my God, yeah. The unemployment schemes, that's all, on the rise, that we're seeing. A lot of these things are being, the identities are being used from, the prior hacks, right? These criminals, they're not dumb people, right? So when people have been hacked, these other systems like Target, Home Depot, Equifax, the big ones, right? A lot of times those identities, they're like a fine wine, right? If you let them mature a little, right, and open it up later, when people aren't realizing that their information was stolen, they can use that stuff to perpetrate other scams. In these cases, it could be unemployment scams in which they're using those social security numbers and dates of birth and stuff like that. So people are doing that. They're taking advantage of the loans. Getting a lot of PPE loans from the government that are, grants and not using it properly. We've had a couple of cases in which, people are using them to buy, luxury vehicles or luxury, items and not being used for the purposes that they're supposed to be. And that's for the pay for the businesses to stay in business during this time frame and to pay their employees. So yeah, people are taking advantage of this stuff left and right. So we're out there. We're working with our partners on that stuff, and we'll bring some people to justice.
We were talking earlier on the show about TikTok and the possibility of the U.S. government shutting it down. How serious is the threat from China of stealing our research and whatnot?
Yeah, it is we're out there a lot, talking about the China, threat of stealing our intellectual property, right? So it comes down to all intellectual property, our business properties in which, our trademarks and stuff like that. They're out there. They don't make no qualms about it. They put it out there in their strategic plan, what they plan to do. You can Google it, you can read it. It's put out by the government that they intend to be the next, the only superpower, and they're going to take whatever means necessary to get our secrets. So we're out there trying to tell businesses to just be careful of who you're dealing with, and know the person you deal. It's just common sense. Anyone, just don't invite the vampire into the house.
Yeah, and I know you guys are still working hard on public corruption and whatnot. There haven't been any trials because you can't have a trial on Zoom, but soon enough the courts will open and some of these cases will come to trial, and there'll be more plea deals, I'm sure. But we appreciate all the hard work that the FBI is doing, and as well as your friends over at the U.S. Attorney's Office to keep us safe. And thanks for coming on the Paul W. Smith Show today to help parents and families learn a little more about what's going on out there and how to protect themselves.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Kevin. And thanks for the invite. If anyone has anything to wants to complain about, our offices are always open. The lines are always open. If it's fraud or anything like that, they can go to ic3.gov to put in an internet complaint. for if they've been taking a fraud. If there's anything else, they can always call us and put in a complaint online over the phone as well. So
Fantastic.
happy to take it and continue to protect the American people here.
Stephen D'Antuono, FBI Special Agent in Charge. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Kevin. You too. Bye now.
All right, let's check in with weather and traffic and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by LifeLock. If you're only monitoring your credit to help protect your identity, you could miss certain threats, like your info for sale on the dark web. Good thing there's LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. Get LifeLock now and save more during their special summer sale. Go to lifelock.com. Use promo code RISK. Sale ends July 20th.
94 westbound after Division Road, disabled vehicle is blocking the right shoulder. Hit and run accident involving a car and a motorcycle this morning. Unfortunately, a fatal crash about 1:30 this morning. Crews are on the scene investigating that area. 75 southbound at 7 Mile still closed. You can take Woodward instead, seeing big delays through that stretch of 75 southbound between 696 down to 7 Mile. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by the Restore Wellness Center. You can reduce the pain of the Restore Wellness Center. Tired of dealing with nagging body pain, joint swelling, tendinitis, neuropathy, and chronic pain? The Restore Wellness Center will reduce or eliminate the pain completely. Reserve your appointment today at the state's best non-invasive laser therapy treatment center. Call 800-935-5959 in Brighton, Shelby, and Bloomfield, or restorewellnesscenter.com. It's going to be another great day today. Humidity is going to be nice and comfortable. Sunshine, some clouds, a high of 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, your low 68. Currently, sunshine, 67 degrees. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News, with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Mark and Cheryl here with Rhino Shield asking what's on your to-do list.
Maybe you need to paint your house.
Hello, Dave.
We were talking in the control room about movie theaters and whether you would feel comfortable going into a movie theater these days. And then we got talking about drive-ins.
Okay.
I'm a little too young to remember the drive-ins, but do you remember drive-ins?
I missed them too. They may have been there and I didn't go. We had a movie theater, a couple miles from our house. And it was one of those first ones that had, I don't know, they probably had 6 different theaters at the time or whatnot. So I've been to a couple drive-in movies places, but no, I kind of missed that. I don't mind the idea of it. It seems fun as long as the audio works well. You can hear what's going on. I imagine now you just have, it's probably on your phone, right?
Probably goes through the Bluetooth of your car or something.
Yeah, I have not been. The movie theaters, so there's some research done, and that is one of the last places people are looking forward to going back to is the movie theaters. They want to get back to their favorite store. They want to get back to their favorite restaurant. They want to get to their favorite relative's house. But a movie theater was not high up on the list, and I think that's going to. That's going to be something that they're going to have to work on when things open up to get people excited about going back. I love going to the movies. I like the popcorn. At home, I don't get quite the same popcorn and candy experience as I do when I go to the theater. So I'm kind of a fan.
Movie theaters and gyms.
Yeah, gyms. I don't go to the gym. I've belonged to a gym for 10 years. I got to get directions to find out where it is. I got a real gym problem. I like to walk, and I walk around my neighborhood. I just never seem to get to the gym very often. It's like they'll call and say your card is on file has expired. Every 3 or 4 years your card expires. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll have to pop back in and see what's going on. Oh, look, you've redecorated. The place looks great.
Right. Yeah.
But it is a family membership, so some of the other people are going, I hope. But no, I don't it seems though like you could clean down a gym equipment just as easily as you could clean down a grocery cart. I guess maybe you're not sweating on a grocery cart.
Well, you're also probably not going to be wearing a mask in the gym either while you're working out, because one of the big things is that they always talk about, having gone through a lot of gyms and trainers, is your breathing. So
are they gonna go under, or what do you think?
That's a good question. I kind of was just thinking, we were talking about Paul Glantz, the guy who owns all the Imagine theaters, and what he must be going through right now with, summer always being a huge time of year for movies to come out, and all the movies that got pushed back, like the new James Bond that got pushed back to December, which was already supposed to be out, and stuff like that. So, summer and holidays, those are always big times for movies to get released. And so I'm not sure. I mean, do they come back after? Do people ever really truly feel safe going back into a theater?
I would go back to a theater. I would. I wouldn't have. I'd go to a theater before I'd go to a gym. I really do wonder if these big gyms are going to be able to stay open, though. I think a lot of people probably already invested in home gym equipment. I know people who've bought a Peloton or a treadmill or something, and they're exercising at home because the gyms have been closed, and the gyms have not been charging the monthly fees while they've been closed, which is good.
Right.
But I just wonder how many people are going to go in and cancel those memberships when they get the opportunity to go back to their gym.
That's a good point. I don't know when the gyms will get reopened. Obviously, that's going to be one of the last things as we move forward, assuming that we don't move backward.
Yeah. That's always out there, isn't it? It's like you just sort of feel like, oh, this will happen and this will happen. And lately, the numbers, especially like out of Florida and different places, have been like, wait a minute, California just, they just took a couple of big steps backwards.
Right.
They slowed everything down and changed some plans on what they were hoping to reopen.
Yeah, my brother lives in San Rafael, which is near Marin, San Francisco area, and he's working from home until January right now. He's been working at home for a while, and they're not they're going backwards over there. Yeah,
I don't know. I think our governor is going to be very cautious and very slow moving. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the top of the list of people jumping back in.
Patrick says, Dave, you don't need a gym. Take the stairs at work. Patrick, unfortunately, you don't know that the stairs could be a little treacherous sometimes here at the Fisher Building. You got to be careful. You may not come out of the staircase.
There's a lot of them, though.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Definitely. But definitely walking is definitely a good workout. But a lot of people like to run also. Unfortunately, here in Michigan, once the weather turns, then you're not necessarily able to do that all year round. So
yeah, I don't know. Ron LaFleur, the old Tiger, once said when he was in prison, he was in the best shape of his life, and all he ever did was push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups, and he was able to stay in shape.
That's right. I remember Ron LaFleur.
So coming up, we got Terry Johnson. He is the attorney for the Westenbergs. Do you remember that case? That's they pulled the weapon at the Chipotle in Oakland County, and the Oakland County prosecutor charged them. Mr. Westenberg lost his job, and they have a court date coming up here. And Terry Johnson, it's interesting because not only is he the attorney for the Westenbergs, but he's a trained weapons instructor. So interesting to hear what he has to say about all that.
Yeah, for sure.
From the great voice of the Great Lakes, this is Paul W. Smith on WJR with Kevin Dietz filling in for Paul.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, July 14th, and you are listening to the Paul W. Smith Show. Thanks for stopping by WJR 760 AM, or if you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show. We're going to start the 8 o'clock hour off with a special guest. Terry Johnson is a local attorney, and he is representing Jillian and Eric Westenberg. If you don't know those names, you probably know the video they were in. It went viral all over the world, probably well over 1 million times now. People have seen Jillian Westenberg pull a weapon on a family at the Chipotle in Oakland County. And joining us now on the line is Terry Johnson to talk about his client's case, what happened, and what we're supposed to do in this crazy world where conflict seems to follow all of us and be at every turn. Terry, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good morning to you and all your wonderful listeners.
Yeah, good morning to you as well. This is an interesting case for a number of reasons, particularly social media and cell phone cameras and things on video now. We don't know everything that happened because we only know what happened from when the cameras first started to roll. But what have you been able to learn about this case, and what are the important facts that people should know about this case?
Well, Kevin, there's a couple of things. I think it all depends on which video you saw. And what I mean by that is there is a shortened video that's probably in the neighborhood of 15, 16 seconds that just shows Miss Westenberg pulling out a firearm and pointing it at someone. There's no description why, what happened before then. Then there's also one that's over 3 minutes, about 3 minutes and 15 seconds, that kind of sets the table for exactly what happened. And if you look at that longer version of a video, you'll understand why, Jillian and Eric took the actions that they did, which was basically to protect themselves.
And so what happened? I mean, we did see a member of the Hill family. Tequila Hill was the mother who was at the Chipotle restaurant. Her 15-year-old daughter was the one we saw on video, sort of in a confrontation, a verbal confrontation for sure, with Jillian Westenberg. There seemed to be some bumping incident that we did not see, but we saw what happened after that. And the 15-year-old and Mrs. Hill definitely wanted an apology, and it got pretty heated. I believe they called the Westenbergs racists, and the argument continued on.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, Kevin. The bigger problem is, you have a 15-year-old child, and I'm using that word purposefully, because again, she's not an adult. She may appear to look like an adult, but again, at the end of the day, she's only 15 years old. And apparently, according, and I haven't heard this from the daughter yet, other than what's on video, she bumped me. My client was unsure if that happened. My client goes back to her van. They were at Chipotle picking up food. They've got 4 kids. And once she got the food in the van, again, here come the Hills. Okay. Mom's on one side, daughter's on the other. They're in her face. They're yelling. And when you said verbal confrontation, I don't think it was, let's put it this way. It was completely one-sided. Jillian was not arguing back. She was trying to get a word in. Every time she opened her mouth, they'd yell her down, fingers pointed in her face. Both mom and daughter were within literally 24 inches. I think in a couple of shots I've seen on the video recording, mom's fingers are in my client's face. And it was so bad that Eric had to get out of the car, walk around, and help his wife in the vehicle because they were blocking her from even getting in her vehicle at that point.
And he was basically threatened at that point too by Mrs. Hill, who said, I think she said she's going to beat him up or something like that. But then,
well, I was going to say the exact words. I'm going to kick your white A. I don't know if I can say the A word here, but
it's not.
But I'm going to kick your white A. Okay, and she made a couple of other comments as well. Again, at that point, Jillian rolls the window down. She attempts, to try and simmer things down again. And you see Miss Hill, the mom, kind of go towards the van. The window goes up, and This is the second time at that point. The first time, Jillian tries to get in the van. She's blocked. She finally gets in. Now they attempt to leave. And the mom is behind the van. You can look at the video. She purposefully goes behind the van, and she starts banging on the van. That's when my clients got out. And I know a lot of your listeners will say, well, why didn't they just drive off? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Reason number one is the vehicle was disabled at that point because on that Pacifica that they have, as you go backwards, if you get close to an object, it automatically slams on the brakes. You can't go any further. Secondly, they couldn't go forward simply because going forward wasn't an option because there was another car to the left of them. They couldn't back up, and they felt at that point they hit someone or something. So they had to get out and check to see what happened.
You think the Hills or the mom, Tequila Hill, should have been charged with something? What do you think she should have been charged with?
Oh, ethnic intimidation, assault, disorderly conduct. I mean, there's a laundry list of things she should have been charged with based upon her behaviors. You know, I mean, you listen to the words that she said and you look at the actions that she did. You know, the words that she said were of a racial nature, and I believe we call that ethnic intimidation here in the state of Michigan. Imagine what would have happened if my clients would have stood up and said, I will kick your black A. This thing would have been even more viral. But because Ms. Hill is African American, I believe that the prosecutor in this case has turned a blind eye to that, and I believe that the Attorney General has turned a blind eye to that as well. You know, if you don't want ethnic intimidation, it should be the same on both sides, not just when it feels good to you.
So you are a weapons instructor. Tell me what the Wurstenbergs should have done, or what they did properly, and how do you protect yourself when you have a concealed carry permit?
Well, you know, your firearm is a tool of last resort. Okay. And in this case, once Ms. Westenberg and Eric stepped out of the vehicle, and I'm just more specifically focused on Jillian here, Jillian was rushed, literally rushed. Mom was at the back of the van, and within a second and a half, she is literally toe-to-toe with my client. The daughter, who was videotaping, rushes up, and both of them are right by my client at this point. I want you to keep this in mind. There are several people out there. All of, you know, these two have rushed her. They've already threatened to do great bodily harm to her. They twice, now the third time, would not let her leave. At that point, that's when my client became very fearful because these people had the ability to jump on and do great bodily harm to her. That's when she pulled out her firearm at that point. She pulled it out merely to protect herself. And if you look at what she said during there, she never once said, you know, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to blow your head off. She kept begging, and I'm using that word purposefully, begging these people to get back. Why? Because they were continually advancing towards her, and the camera even shows this.
Okay, well, I don't think you're going to get much of a plea deal in this case, so I think this one is going to go to court, and we're looking forward to.
We don't want a plea deal, Kevin. Just so everybody's clear.
Okay, they think they were in the right, and they're going to fight for it, and this is going to be very interesting to watch. Terry Johnson, thanks for coming on the Paul W. Smith Show. Hopefully, you'll come back and keep us up to date as this works its way through the courts.
Kevin, thank you, and you and your listeners have a great day.
All right, right back at you. We'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after a quick break. Let's check on weather and traffic with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation or visit them online at californiaclosets.com.
Still seeing those heavy delays, Kevin, along 75 southbound between 696 and 7 Mile. Still dealing with that closure as well, right at 7 Mile. 75 southbound at 7 Mile is closed. Police on the scene investigating a fatal crash this morning, a car involving a motorcycle. They could be out there for quite some time. They've been there for the accident happened about 1:30 this morning. So hopefully soon that investigation will be wrapping up. You can take Woodward instead. Disabled vehicle blocking the right shoulder along 94 westbound after Division Road. Now WJR weather first from the Weather Channel.
Good looking morning. A few clouds around. We get into the afternoon. Sunshine with a few clouds at a high of 84. Tonight, some clouds 67. Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Maybe an isolated shower thunderstorm at a high of 88. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Musty smell in your home? It could be coming from below your floors. And the smell in your crawl space is more than just embarrassing. It could be a sign of a larger issue, like mold, mildew, and wood rot. The experts at Foundation Systems of Michigan have the solution. Their exclusive vapor lock system locks out harmful moisture, protecting your home's structural integrity and creating an all-around more comfortable environment so you can get back to the important things.
Call 877-TRY-MISH.
For 81 years, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan has been committed to the health of each one of its members, and now is no different. Which is why we will continue to provide you with access to the resources you need, like virtual doctor visits and our 24-hour nurse line, so you can get care wherever and whenever you need it. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan will stay by your side for whatever comes next. To learn more, visit committedtomichigan.com.
Thinking about life insurance? Did you know in just a few minutes you can find the best price from up to 10 price competitive companies for free? You can with SelectQuote. For example, George is 39. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $22 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-890-6688. That's 800-890-6688. 800-890-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
Well, we have a special guest for you now, an award-winning journalist who has been covering emerging diseases for more than 30 years. She's coming out with a new book, and it is not political, but it is about COVID-19, the pandemic that never should have happened, and how to stop the next one. Joining us now is Deborah McKenzie. Deborah, thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Oh, my pleasure entirely.
Well, this sounds like a book that everybody needs to read. I certainly want to make sure that we can stop the next one, and I certainly would like to know why this one never should have happened. We got about 8 minutes. I'm sure that's not enough time, but tell us why this pandemic should not have happened.
Because we knew this virus was out there. We knew there were viruses like this in bats, and if we just limited the interaction between humans and bats in the places where we knew that virus was, it wouldn't have gotten into humans. It's kind of hard to catch viruses from bats. Bats in the United States carry rabies. Almost nobody ever catches rabies from a bat.
So how did it happen? What went wrong?
Well, there is a lot of interaction with bats just because there is a lot of wildlife, for whatever reason, sold on markets in China. There is, for example, a traditional eye remedy that's made of bat droppings. And we know that the bats excrete this virus in their droppings. And I don't know, I think, like people are pretty dubious that it was something sold on that actual market that did it. But maybe somebody who was collecting, bat poop from a cave down in southern China caught the virus and went up to Wuhan and passed it to somebody. I mean, lots of possibilities like that. And basically, we should just be a lot more careful of these bats. And Chinese scientists have been sounding the alarm for years. They've been trying to warn people and saying this thing poses a pandemic threat.
And why has not that warning been well received? Is it something that we thought was far-fetched, that it just wouldn't happen, or we just weren't careful enough?
Well, American scientists were making the warning too. I mean, they were working with them. We just weren't careful enough. I think we just didn't take it seriously. There was an outbreak in 2003 of a very closely related virus called SARS, also came from bats. We beat that. It was a hard job. A couple of cities, including Toronto, had really serious outbreaks. Almost 1,000 people died. And it didn't go pandemic the way this thing has, because it was not quite as good at spreading in people as COVID-19 is. And the WHO coordinated a really massive worldwide campaign just to, isolate cases and track contacts and all that good stuff, which actually, put this thing back in its cage. So that was good. And I think everybody thought, well, we got rid of that one. Right, we don't have to think about it now. And I think it was nobody's job to connect the dots and think, boy, it would be a good idea to maybe have some vaccines and drugs for these things around. One of the problems is that the only people who really develop vaccines and drugs are companies, and they can't develop things if there's not a market for them. And if the disease isn't here yet, there is no market. So it's kind of hard to know who's going to be doing that drug and vaccine development. We backed ourselves into a corner on that one. We have to think of some new mechanisms for doing that. I mean, you say it's not political. I think that's political. I think we need new ways of, assessing our risks and taking precautions. If the market can't do everything, then we've got to find other ways to do it.
I remember as a kid at school, we would have tornado warning practice, what to do if the alarm sounded and where to go to be safe. Was nobody putting together a pandemic plan? Was nobody saying, hey, this thing is a possibility. It could become a reality. If it does, we need to do A, B, and C.
Well, as a matter of fact, a lot of countries had pandemic plans. The trouble is, the one virus we know is going to cause another pandemic is flu. And almost all the pandemic plans focus completely on flu. None of them focus on the possibility that it might be another virus, even though people, scientists, were certainly talking about it and certainly warning about it. And then even though we had some pandemic planning in the flu pandemic plans that would have worked for COVID, for example, isolating cases, contact tracing, that kind of thing, we did know how to do that. We did it for SARS after all. We hadn't really practiced it. A lot of the plans had been kind of shelved. There was one in Britain where when they actually looked at the details, they discovered they just didn't have enough beds for what could go wrong. In the States, you had a lot of offices that were focused specifically on this risk that got shut down, moving from one administration to another. I won't say which. But, you had the ability, and that just kind of got shut down. People have had trouble really thinking that this is going to happen. I mean, it's the modern day and age. People think we don't die of plagues anymore. Really, seriously, this is just snowflake stuff, I think maybe some people thought. And wow, we kind of know now that the scientists were right and that was wrong. It's real and it can really hurt us. It can certainly hurt an economy like ours. And we need to fix that problem now. We need to do better planning.
So are we properly following the plan now, or are we still ignoring the advice?
Well, if when you say we, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, in some countries, they've followed the scientific advice and they've done very well. You probably know about New Zealand. Vietnam did a really good job of taking care of this. And it happens to be a virus where it doesn't spread so fast that you can't get people and isolate them and put them in quarantine and stop it spreading. Flu is kind of slippery like that, but this one, we know we can do it. And a bunch of countries have. But I think in the United States, you actually didn't, have enough sort of centralized instruction. So everybody was doing the same thing and doing it really rapidly. You just have to look at Canada. I mean, they've got, 10 provinces and 3 territories, and they're all independent when it comes to health, same as your states are. But they all got together and they all decided, okay, we'll all do the same thing. They acted quickly. They isolated cases. They traced contacts. They did the best they could to stop the virus from spreading out of control. And they've had a lot more success than generally the United States, because it was all done differently in each of the different states. And some places didn't do much at all. And some places had real lockdowns, and some places didn't really believe they had a problem until suddenly their, emergency rooms were maxing out. And it's kind of a mess. I think what we have to learn is that, not only do we have to all act together and act really, really quickly, because we've all seen what a disease can do if you let it go even for a short time. we have to ask quickly, not only within countries, but between countries. We all have to get together on this one. I mean, a disease anywhere these days is a disease everywhere. So we really are all in this together, and we've got to start figuring out ways of responding to the next one. Because, boy, there is going to be a next one. That much we know.
How do we find the book?
Well, all fine booksellers everywhere, I understand. Today's the day it's actually being launched. So your nearest bookstore should have it. But apart from that, it's on the usual suspects like Amazon and the online booksellers.
All right, Deborah McKenzie, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
My pleasure entirely.
All right, looking forward to reading this book. I hope that we've learned a lot from this one and that we're better prepared and take quicker, swifter action next time around. Let's take a short break and we'll be back with more of the Paul W. Smith Show after this. Let's check in with traffic and weather and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation or visit them at their Commerce or Birmingham showrooms.
Disabled vehicle along 94 westbound after Division Road. It is blocking the right shoulder. Traffic First sponsored by Guernsey Farms Dairy. Celebrate 80 years with Guernsey this summer at your local grocer. From their award-winning milk, ice cream, and lemonade, they are a true Michigan summer tradition. Guernsey is excited to announce your newly remodeled restaurant in Northville, now open Wednesday through Sunday. For more info, visit GuernseyFarmsDairy.com. That's GuernseyFarmsDairy.com. Still closed is 7 Mile southbound at 75 southbound, I should say, at 7 Mile. Traffic forced to exit. You can re-enter 75 southbound. Earlier crash still being investigated involving a motorcycle. You can take Woodward instead. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Starline Mackinac Island Ferry. Hightail it to Mackinac Island on a Starline Hydrojet or Catamaran ferry, and now a new pirate ship, the Good Fortune. Starline offers the largest open-air boats disinfected before every trip with fares starting at $19. Get discount tickets and vacation packages at MackinacFerry.com. That's MackinacFerry.com. Expecting a nice day once again today. Nice, comfortable outside, 67 degrees under sunny skies. Could see some cloud cover this afternoon, a high of 84. Tonight, partly cloudy, your low 68. I'm Dayna Clark, WJR News with Dick Hafner in about 2 minutes.
Hello, I'm John Ezzo, CEO and founder of New.
How we doing, Dave?
Good, good.
Coming into the home stretch?
Yes, sir.
Where was Deborah McKenzie from? Do you know?
I'm not sure where she was from. I thought that she was somewhere else. Was she maybe, I had read something about maybe she was calling from France or something.
Oh, that's right, France. She was calling from France. That's right.
Something like that.
She's like, you crazy Americans. She goes, a lot of the world's doing it right. What's wrong with you?
Right. You know, Italy's all good now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. They had a rough go of it. You know, I was in Italy with my family on December 17th.
Oh, really? Were you?
20? I got back right before Christmas. We were there pretty late in the game. Things were really quickly starting to move.
You could have been stuck there.
That would have been okay if they would have sent me some stimulus money. That would have been okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I was just reading this story in the Washington Post about California. They are really taking things back with the infections that are soaring.
Oh no, for sure. No, we've kind of followed a lot of what California has done. So if you keep an eye on what they're doing, Michigan starts talking about it a week or 10 days later.
Yeah.
But they're not going. They're talking about not going back to school at all, right?
Yeah. So they banned indoor dining, movie theaters and bars, hair salons, gyms. They were told to close, and Oregon cracked down on gatherings of more than 10 people and made masks mandatory statewide. So they're saying that other states are going to follow soon, including Colorado, Kentucky, Montana, North Dakota, and in the District of Columbia.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, Florida really became overwhelmed again, but Texas also is having troubles, and it's hard to know what's working and what's not. Clearly we keep hearing every day locally that there's there was a gathering, and then 8 days later there's a surge. So
right.
Clearly a lot of people in close proximity is going to spread COVID. We know that much.
And speaking of the schools, 3 of the nation's largest school districts, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Atlanta, they will all hold classes online when the new school year begins.
Okay.
So
what about the people who don't have computers?
That's the problem. You don't have a computer. You can't get internet. How are you supposed to do this online? Both parents might work. You can't do homeschooling. What do you do? How far behind are these students going to get? I know a guy who's a teacher in it's either the Pontiac or the Waterford school district. He said that during the pandemic, he would bring materials over to the homes of his students that were not able to get internet, so they could keep up, even though they weren't able to do it online. But I don't think that's feasible for every student, especially in these larger districts.
Yeah, education is the key for getting out of poverty. It's the key to everything. You gotta create opportunities for everybody to get an education. And you talk about all this federal money and what's being done. I really hope that we focus on giving everyone an opportunity to get educated. This is really going to show the differences between big city schools and suburbs, and hopefully we can get things worked out the right way.
Yeah, it's interesting with the new stimulus package that's supposed to be on the way, and we are coming to the end of the $600 bonus. I think on July 25th or the 31st, and if it's going to get extended and what it's going to look like. So there are some decisions that are going to have to be made, especially with the cases that are growing, because the question is, are there going to be jobs to go back to? I know that a lot of people think that, the $600 is giving people not an incentive to go back to work. Are they going to have something to go back to work to?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like you hear these reports, and then you wonder if they're just sort of setting us up for more bad news, or they sort of feed it out slowly, give you a little bit. It's like the Big Ten. We're going to play in-conference football games. Is that just to get us ready for the announcement that they're not going to play at all?
I think it was very interesting, with the Ivy League schools that just canceled everything. They're just like, okay, we're done. We're not going to even deal with this. But my question is, okay, so all these conferences are going to have conference-only schedules. Where does that leave one major college football team that doesn't have a conference but only has a big TV deal and will not join a conference? Right. And that's Notre Dame.
Yeah.
What's happening? What's going to happen with their schedule?
They're going to play in-conference games only.
They don't belong to a conference. Who are they going to play? Let's just go play all our military schools?
They're going to scrimmage each other. It's going to be a scrimmage day every day.
I mean,
Doesn't Alabama sell out for their scrimmage against themselves?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure Michigan does too.
I'm sure we'd both watch Notre Dame play Notre Dame if it was on TV
too. Probably if it was live football, yeah, I think you and I would watch anything.
Now back to more Paul W. Smith on WJR. Once again substituting, here's Kevin Dietz.
He was arrested in Detroit at 17 years old and went to prison at 18. This week, Richard Wjr Jr. is turning 51 years old, and he is still in prison. He gets out on Monday after more than 30 years behind bars. And joining us now on the Paul W. Smith Show is his attorney, Ralph Masilli. Ralph, welcome to the Paul W. Smith Show.
Well, good morning, Kevin. Good to talk to you again.
Well, it's good to talk to you as well. This is some long-awaited news for you. You have been working for decades to try and get Rick Wjr Jr. out of prison. Finally, his day is coming on Monday.
Well, the heavy lift was getting him out of Michigan. That took me about between 12 and 13 years after he had already been in prison for about 15 years. What he's doing right now is just finishing up a sentence down in Florida for something he got involved in while he was incarcerated down there in the witness protection program.
Yeah, so what happened in Michigan, he went in, he had enough cocaine on him that he was sentenced to life in prison, but that was ruled unconstitutional, right? So that's when the effort began to get him out.
Well, actually, they never found any drugs on him. They found drugs about a block and a half away from where he was, and they attached it to him. The trial was a disaster. I wasn't involved in that. In about 1990, that was in 1988. In the mid-90s, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled that the imposition of a life without or a sentence of life without parole was unconstitutional for a drug crime, and so they changed his sentence to life with parole, and the trial judge gave him a parole hearing on the 15th anniversary of his incarceration. The parole hearing was, again, a disaster. It was not properly run, shall we say. I got involved about 5 years after that, 4 or 5 years after that, when he was coming up for parole again, and he asked me to get involved.
So what was the key to finally getting him paroled in Michigan, and why were they so hesitant to give him parole?
Well, I think it was more political than anything else. He cost a lot of people in high positions a lot of money when he was instrumental in upsetting the cocaine drug trade in the city of Detroit. What we found later on in the process, one of the homicide detectives that had been sent to testify against him at the parole hearing actually gave us an affidavit outlining what they had done and how they had cheated. And after trying to get a commutation from 2 governors, I finally filed a lawsuit in the federal district court against the parole board. The Western District threw it out. I took it to Cincinnati. We got it reversed. We went back to the Western District. They threw it out again, but by then I had this affidavit. And the key to getting him was released was the government, I do not believe, wanted to defend what they had done in that original parole hearing. They had violated a sealed grand jury, which is a 10-year felony. They had scripted the testimony of 4 homicide detectives who didn't even know him. They had testified that they made it sound like he was responsible for all the violence in the city, where in fact he was never even looked at as a violent criminal. So once we had that and the government was ordered to respond to that, all at once they were asking for adjournments, and they moved his parole date up by a year and just gave him parole.
And for those who don't know the story of White Boy Rick, he was also, as a teenager, he was a paid informant for the police, giving information on drug dealers in his neighborhood. While he was in prison, he did get involved in a stolen car ring out of Florida. And that's why after he was finally given parole in Michigan, he wasn't allowed to be free. He had to go back to Florida and serve that time, which is where he is now. And that's been about 2.5 years. But now he is getting out on Monday. So what is next for him? He's still on parole here in Michigan. What's his future going to look like?
He's got about 12 or 13 months of parole yet to go, and then everything will be done.
And how does that work? Do you have to come back to Michigan and see a parole agent? I understand he is going to be in Michigan.
Yes, his parole will be here in Michigan because it's Michigan parole. And he's already been assigned a parole officer. He'll have to check in once a month, but I don't think there'll be any difficulty.
You know him better than anyone. What do you think his future holds? What is the final chapter of Rick Wjr going to be?
I think he's going to be just fine. If his health holds up, which it should, hopefully he'll have a long and productive life. But he's got a good support system here in Michigan, and I think he'll do just fine.
Will he work? I suppose he'll have to work, right?
Yeah, he's got different offers. I think there may be like the last movie deal that they did. He may get income off of that. There may be future media outlets for him, and they're talking about a possibility of giving talks to various groups, which would have stipends attached to them.
Yeah, the movie White Boy Rick starred Matthew McConaughey and came out, I believe, last year. It would be good for him to go talk to kids in school. He would have a lot of things to tell them about staying on the right side of the road and how bad it can get once you're in the system.
Oh, yeah. Now, what people have to realize, like you had just said, he was a paid informant. He was more than that. Okay, if you talk to the FBI and to the legal department of the FBI here in Michigan, they'll tell you that at that time, he was the most important asset that the government had in the war on drugs. He literally took the drug scene down in Detroit. The fact that they didn't protect him, to me, is reprehensible. Even after he went to prison, he gave them information that saved lives and overturned drug kingdoms in the Miami area. But again, they didn't protect him. They just threw him aside when they didn't need him anymore. And to me, that's a story that has to be told.
All right, Ralph Masilli, attorney for Rick Wjr Jr. Give him our best, and we'll continue to follow and see what happens as he gets out of prison and returns to Michigan. Thanks for being on the Paul W. Smith Show.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
All right, we'll talk to you real soon. Let's check in with traffic and weather with Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by Dell.
Refresh your business tech during Dell Technologies Cyber Savings Event with up to 50% off Windows 10 laptops, desktops, and servers, plus top electronics. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 10 Pro for business. Call 877-ASK-DELL for a Dell Technologies advisor who can help you find the right tech.
Traffic first sponsored by the Metro Detroit chapter of Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association, SMACNA. SMACNA contractors fabricate, install, and service heating and cooling ventilation systems, build metal roofing, and much more for your commercial, industrial, public, or residential project. They take all the necessary precautions getting the job done right and on time. Hire Detroit's best. Visit smacnad.org. 75 southbound at 7 Mile. That accident investigation is complete. That area is open. All lanes have reopened. 75 southbound after 8 Mile, though, accident blocks a shoulder, seeing delays from 696. Now, WJR Weather first from the Weather Channel, sponsored by Liberty Title, protecting property since 1974. Unless your realtor can guarantee their office is secured, use a bank or title company. $2 billion a year is lost to cybercrime and identity thefts and real estate transactions. Liberty Title's umbrella program ensures and secures your closing dollars. You have a choice. Choose libertytitle.com.
We'll see a few clouds around this morning. Actually, temperature's pretty comfortable this afternoon, right where we should be. Sunshine, a little overcast at times, 84. Tonight, a few clouds, a little milder, 67. Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine. Could be an isolated shower thunderstorm at a high warmer, 88. From a Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Ray Staging on News Talk 760 WJR.
Here are a couple of words you don't hear these days. Now hiring. Yep, because of
Hi, everybody.
There he is.
What's up, Chris?
How's it going?
What's up, Chris?
So I had to. I should probably close my garbage can here. I had to change locations of the show today.
Ooh.
Now I'm in my dining room because my circuit breaker up in my 2 bedrooms and bathroom, it won't, I can't get it back on. So I tripped it and I can't get it back on. So now I'm doing it down here.
Every day. At least you're not in your car driving to the station.
Not yet. Knock on wood.
On your cell phone.
You're right. Not yet.
I've moved to the dining room as well. I believe the strength of the router is strongest from this room. So
right.
After yesterday's debacle, I got to at least get through today. I may try and get back into the office area tomorrow. I like it back there, but I think the strength of signal is the key here.
Yeah, it's all about where you're at. That's for sure.
Wow.
And because I run everything off my Mac, and the new Macs the way they are, it's I don't have a Ethernet hookup. So I don't even have the ability to, I think I can probably get one, but I don't have the.
Yeah, you need to get an adapter. Come on, a dongle. What are you doing?
No, I don't have the dongle. I don't have the proper dongle.
Yeah, you need the proper dongle. Come on.
True.
What's going on? And that is the actual technical term that they use.
It is. Yes, it is.
It is, yes.
So good show this morning.
Yeah, we had a lot going on. We were booked, man. We had a lot of people checking in today.
Yeah, that's cool.
What do you got going on?
Little this, little that. We're obviously there's an all-out revolt against the Governor Gretchen Whitmer's latest order.
You think
police officers are just going, we're not doing it, which I find to be interesting. So we're going to talk about that. We got a lot of stuff going on today. But we're talking about schools.
Yeah, we asked the lieutenant governor about that, about police not backing up the governor. He sort of sidestepped it and just said, "Look, it's about keeping people safe. It's not about giving tickets and fines and charging people with misdemeanors." But it's it's got to be a problem for the governor's office when you have police agencies all across the state saying we're not doing it.
Well, and then what does that tell the people? It tells them that does it really matter? I'm not sure.
Right. What's the science again?
Right.
The science. Some people really don't want to wear masks. They feel like they'll make them sick or they, are agitated by them. But
do they really feel that way, or is it just that they feel that they're being told to do it? So because they're being told to do it, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt yesterday for the first time like I had to have my mask on because everywhere I went, there was a sign on the door that said basically, like the lieutenant governor said, no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. I felt like you had to have it. But,
when are we coming back?
When are we coming back?
A couple minutes here.
Yeah. You going away on us, Chris?
No, I just want to make sure that we're. I'm not.
Oh, that we're not on the show?
Yeah.
You'll start to hear the music.
We're always back. I just assume we're always on and always off.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say I didn't see the control room there, so I didn't know. I didn't know for sure what we were doing.
Yeah, Dave usually gets us a little music to get us back in.
I like that.
We'll be back soon enough.
One story that I'm really excited to talk about today. There was something trending on Twitter yesterday. And it was R.I.P. Hamilton. And people were freaking out.
That Rip died?
Well, no. So ESPN ended up tweeting out a story. It said, who wore it best? And it was
commercials or price could vary.
Different players wearing the masks.
Oh.
And Rip Hamilton was trending.
That's right, because he had the mask for a while.
Smith on WJR. Once again,
rest in peace.
Here's Kevin Dietz.
Welcome back to the Paul W. Smith Show. It is July the 14th, a Tuesday morning, and joining us now are Dave Rieger and Chris Renwick, who is in for Frank Beckman today. Hey, guys, how are you?
Gentlemen.
Good.
where are your masks? My phone went off. It started beeping wildly at 4:44 yesterday. It said executive order is in effect. Put on your mask. Put on your mask.
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
I didn't either. It actually surprised me. I thought there was an Amber Alert or something to that effect, and I was at home, so I did not immediately mask up. But it would be hard to say that you're not aware that the executive order is in place. But I'm not sure how much this executive order means if police agencies are putting on their websites, don't call us about masks. We're not coming. We have other things to do.
Well, I'll tell you, my biggest problem with that, and it stems. I mean, you can talk about a lot of the governor's executive orders in this way. Like I remember thinking, so you're telling me you're going to charge somebody if they're going up to their cabin up north, right? That was a couple months ago. I thought that was ludicrous, but she has the alleged science to back it up. Now, okay, fine, but with this again, how do you enforce it? Are you going to dole out misdemeanors? You're going to make people pay $500. But then what happens? I mean, what happens when all of these people decide to go to court to fight it? So you're going to bog down the judicial system with misdemeanor fines for not wearing a mask. To me, it doesn't make sense.
We talked to the lieutenant governor about that today on the show, and he said that it's the business owners who will get the fines and the tickets, not the people who are not having the mask. He put the responsibility on the business owners. However, I still do not see a bunch of business owners getting misdemeanor tickets and then showing up for court. And although it will go to the court, someone will get a ticket, and it will be challenged. Absolutely.
It just seems that's further punishment to businesses who already had to be punished by a shutdown. Some people will say it was unnecessary. Some people will say it's necessary, but at the end of the day, those businesses were still hurting. And then, you're going to lay another $500 fine on them when they're not bringing in a quarter of what they were. It's tough. That's a tough sell.
These businesses struggling to survive through COVID shutdown. They try and open up. They say, well, you can open up, but you can only have people every 6 feet. They don't have nearly the income coming back in. And now you're saying, oh, by the way, along with making sure you clean and sanitize every inch of your store after every customer comes through, you're responsible to make sure everyone has a mask on, because if someone comes into your store without a mask, we're gonna hit you with a $500 fine. I don't really think there's going to be any enforcement. I think this is just a new way to remind people or to encourage people to try and be safer by wearing a mask, by washing your hands, to try and stop the spread of the disease. Because obviously the numbers are going up. We're seeing some states that are getting back into the crisis mode, and California is now shutting stuff down. And in Michigan, we don't want anything to shut down. We want things to open up.
Well, it's interesting because obviously there's I'm kind of describing it as an all-out revolt here by law enforcement that are just going, look, we're not doing this. We're not going around handing out tickets, especially, when their workforce is already depleted. A lot of these places are saying that they don't even have the people to hand out citations like this. So Macomb County Sheriff's Office was the latest that I saw as of last night to put this out there. So we're going to talk to Tony Wickersham coming up a little later. We'll stick in Macomb County a little earlier to talk to Mark Hackle, because I'm interested to know how communities are going to look at their budget shortfalls. Interested to know how they're going to approach that. Are they going to raise taxes, or are they going to look to the federal government? And then schools continues to be a big issue, so we'll open up with that.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Okay, Chris Renwick in for Frank Beckman today. Dave, thanks for your help today. We appreciate it. All right, that's the Paul W. Smith Show for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's check in with traffic and weather and Dayna Clark.
This report is sponsored by California Closets. Now through August 31st, save up to 20% on any California closet system in one of their beautiful light-colored finishes. Call 248-624-1234 today to arrange your complimentary design consultation, or visit them at their Commerce or Birmingham showrooms.
Traffic First also sponsored.
All right, there, Dave. Nice job today. Appreciate all the help.
Thanks, Kev.
Had a lot of good guests. That was good. It was a good show.
Yeah, I thought it went very well. We'll I'll talk to you throughout the day, and we'll set it up again for tomorrow.
We'll be back at it tomorrow. All right, Facebook fans, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for all your comments, even the mean ones. We appreciate them all. And we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. All right, we'll see you guys. Have a great day.